Hello and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us this fine Saturday morning for the Winner's Circle.
Yes. We are here as always now, Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, to review Monday Night Raw, NXT, and Dynamite, and then pick our favorite show of the week. And since SummerSlam is tonight, and we will be back at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for our SummerSlam watch along. Make sure and join us for that. We will give you a preview and our predictions for SummerSlam. So, without any further ado, Mr. Sammy Joe, as always, you always start us off with our Raw review. So,
we started off that show with CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins, where Seth Rollins laid down the rules for SummerSlam. And the rules is basically he makes the rules.
Basically. And also a sneak peek of his freaking ref outfit, and I'm scared.
I'm scared. I'm convinced now that we're at a point in time where the more outrageous your outfit is, the more people seem to think you're fashion forward and they're trendy, and they just say, "Oh, it looks amazing," and when a lot of times it really doesn't.
I'm gonna say, in some cases, yes, but in some cases, no. I think we're all in agreement. He looks stupid.
I
agreed with that.
It feels like he hired Lady Gaga's old stylist.
This is we'll say it's old. We're not really sure because we haven't seen Lady Gaga in a minute. He might be still employed by her. It's fine though.
I mean, I thought the segment was okay. I mean, you got three guys that are ultimately good talkers, and for the most part, and it's an interesting storyline. I mean, I'd rather we just had Seth and Drew, or not Seth and Drew. I'm sorry, Punk and Drew, without the involvement of Seth. I understand why he's there. I get it, and at the same time, I think it just muddies the water. I'm ready for these two to just have a match that makes sense between the two of them, because what's going to happen is Seth is going to either get himself involved. He's going to draw too much of the camera on him, and it's going to end up being shenanigans and all this stuff. So we're not going to get a real match between Punk and Drew at this point. So, which is ultimately what we need. We just need a real match between the two of them where they can just settle whatever they got to do. So,
but this is Punk's first singles match since being back in WWE.
Yeah.
Over what they say, over 10 years in a WWE ring or something, or
over 10 years.
Do you think he's got some butterflies?
Probably.
You think a guy like Punk gets nervous? You think he gets nervous still at this point?
Oh yeah, especially the last two times, the last two of his matches he got hurt in AEW. I'll be freaking nervous as hell.
Yeah,
like please.
I would too.
I don't know. I think he's got enough of an ego that he's like, nah, I got this shit. Y'all just try to keep up.
No, I think he has enough of the ego to tell us he's nervous. Because, please, don't let anything break. But in those quiet moments at his house, please don't let me get hurt. Please don't let anything break. Please don't let me look stupid. Just please. Let me come out of this. And Bobby's still good.
Did this segment do for you guys what it was supposed to do and get you more excited for the match tonight?
Not really.
No, not really.
Not really, because I think we're the last to the party, but I think everyone said it basically. If you're gonna watch, whoever want to watch this match is gonna watch this match. This segment kind of said the same thing we've heard throughout this past rivalry. Nothing really new. The only thing new was the Seth rules, and the Seth rules, like you said, I'm going to be lenient. It really depends on how I feel in the moment, and we'll see what happens.
Honestly, Seth Rollins' inclusion has kind of drawn back my enthusiasm a little bit. I would have liked it better if it was a triple threat, because,
Now, see, that's interesting because WrestleMania, we all wanted Punk to be the special guest referee for Seth versus Drew, but it seems like more people are down on Seth being the special referee between Drew versus Punk. I'm like, it's the same three people. It's the same scenario. What's the difference? Maybe because we weren't into Seth and Drew that much. Maybe is that why?
Probably.
Probably.
Like I felt like the match between Drew and Punk was built up so much in the last half year that like you really don't need any gimmicks. Like just ring the damn bell.
I agree.
Just ring the
I
damn bell.
agree. All right. What was next, Sammy?
Otis and Akira Tozawa versus the Creed brothers. And like, honestly, like I'm not exactly sure like when the match ended. Like so many shenanigans. Gable got involved, and Maxine slapped Gable, and then the Wyatt Six came out.
No, okay. So Maxine slapping Gable was after the match, and the Wyatt Six was after the match. But we call it the Creeds. The Creeds won clean. So that's a down fast. Very surprised about like yeah, because Otis is over. Are we not trying to push Otis or not? Or like he's just a part of this
play?
We're
pushing Otis.
Not pushing. Well, okay, pushing Otis is making sure Otis is good in what comes out of this on solid footing. More so, because I do believe that
he won Otis, Money in the Bank. That's the only push he's ever going to get.
But I'm not overly like, okay, give Otis a title, but I do believe that Otis is a good enough character where when the dust is settled, he should be on, like I said, on solid footing, where you can at least do something with him, like another story where he's good. Not like don't give him the world, but yeah, give him a little piece of land. I think he is over enough where it's like, okay, when all this is good, we can still do something with Otis where he still matters. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that that's true because I like Otis and I think he does have talent, but I'm not sure that I believe WWE sees it that way. For me, this was clearly just about this is all the Chad Gable story, right? In all reality, and now he's got his new guys that are better than his old guys, and his new guys are going to beat up his old guys. So that's really how I see it going. I mean, he's the focus of all of this. Tozawa and Otis really are the fodder for the Creeds, who are the ones they really want to push. They've never really cared. I mean, Tozawa, they've never done anything with except for making a joke anyhow. And I don't think they see Otis as anything. I mean, I think like Sammy said, the being Money in the Bank and seeing how that didn't get over. And to be fair, it was all booking. I don't think it had anything to do with Otis or his inability to make it work. But I think because it didn't work, I think they're probably resigned that he's just a mid-tier guy that's just going to be kind of supporting other guys and probably not having any real place for himself. But
honestly, I don't even think he's mid-tier.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I think he has the skill, and I think he has the potential to definitely be a good wrestler, and potentially a solid mid card guy. But I don't know that they see him that way. Yeah, this was clearly a showcase for the Creeds, and I thought they looked pretty good in what they had to do. To be fair, it's Otis and Tozawa. So I mean,
we did our draft for WWE. Nobody drafted Otis.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But that doesn't mean we don't like Otis, and we don't think. Again, we don't think.
I honestly thought Tucker was better.
No, I would not say that.
Like character-wise, okay, Otis wins, but like in the ring, on the mic, Tucker was superior.
Like that's why they were a good tag team. But yes, Otis had way more personality than Tucker. No offense.
But it wasn't towards his wrestling, and it wasn't towards his promos. It was his gimmick.
I mean, Otis stands out more than Tucker did, but at the same time, I tend to agree with Sammy. I mean, I think Tucker was definitely better on the mic. I think they're probably about equal in their ring. I think the only thing is that Tucker was probably a little more able to do more stuff just because of he was probably in a little bit better shape. I mean, that's not to say that Otis isn't in good shape, but And it's amazing to see big guys do the things that he does, or that that these bigger guys do. At the same time, I also think they're limited still in what they can do because of their size. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I liked Heavy Machinery. I thought they were a solid tag team, but it is what it is, I guess. I never, when I see guys like Otis, I always think, well, I guess I used to, especially with Vince. I don't know now because I'm not sure what Triple H's deal is, and I have no idea what Endeavor or the board thinks. But I know that when Vince, at least I always felt when Vince was running things, that when you saw a guy like Otis, he was really backstage laughing at him ultimately, that it was really more of a laughing thing, that he's a joke as opposed to whatever.
Laughing
So,
at him, not laughing with him.
exactly. And that a guy like that's really never going to get over. You're just going to be a jobber and a warm body there to take losses and make other people look decent. So I hope that that's different, but I'm not confident that that is. I mean, Triple H, for what it's worth, is still a McMahon disciple, right? That's who he learned under. That's how he learned to book. That's what he's learned to do. That's how he's learned to run the company. So, not that he's going to do everything that McMahon did, but he's under that McMahon learning tree. So, I have no idea how far away from that ideology Triple H is, and I hope it's far. But it wouldn't surprise me if he's laughing at Otis as well. So,
I just can't help but think, like, if you have Bronson Reed on your roster, why would you ever use Otis? Like,
well, there is that too. There is that too. I mean, in some regards, they're pretty much they can be they're very interchangeable. So I mean, as far as aesthetics and appearance go, so I don't know.
same height, probably about the same weight.
I mean, it's
Bronson Reed
tough
has a bit
because
more muscle.
in theory, there should be room for both guys because they both do have talent and skill, and at the same time, when you look at how deep rosters are in general, and how many people you have to try to get TV time for, I mean, I can see why those guys fall through the cracks, unfortunately.
For a 3-hour show, there's a space for Otis and there's a space for Bronson Reed. I'm not trying to compare anybody, but I
mean,
am
they couldn't
saying
find space for Eric Young, and I'd take Eric Young over either of them.
again. No, that was the Vince thing, and that was stupid. But there is space for everyone. I'm not trying to compare anybody, but I do think that Otis deserves to be good. Like, just make sure he's good. Don't let him fall through the cracks because people like him. When he was in the ring, people are cheering for Otis. So use that. Don't let that just fall. Just fall like a dust off a freaking kitchen counter. People do like Otis, so use that.
So the Wyatt Six.
It's.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll go. Okay, so I love this segment. They came out, they take the mask off, and they're actually in the ring doing wrestling moves, and they look pretty good to me. And I'm here for all of it. I'm here for Rowan being by himself. I'm here for Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis being the tag team. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I'm very surprised at their first match not being a SummerSlam. I get it, but I don't get it. Like the Raw after SummerSlam is going to be pretty big, so that's good on them. But I'm like this whole Otis Academy and Wyatt Six. I feel like they could have written this out, streamlined this better. Where it's like, let's handle just Otis and Gable first, just them. And once we get the final big crescendo of that ending story, then let the Wyatt Six face them. But I feel like they're all muddied together, which is kind of like, it doesn't work 100% for me. But I am glad to see them in the ring.
I really dig Dexter's look.
With the dreads, yeah.
I mean, I think part of the problem is that, and I don't know this for sure, but I think that the powers that be probably think that nobody cares about Otis and Chad Gable, honestly, when it really boils down to it, and that they think that the Wyatt Six is really the star of this storyline, and so, I wouldn't mind seeing Chad. I think Anika is onto something, and I like the way it plays out better just because of the linear progression and the way storylines work. That you should have had a resolution between Gable and Otis first. I just don't think that they think anybody wants to see that or cares at all. Um, the Wyatt Six, they're fun. I mean, they're it's coming off better than I thought it was the first couple times I saw it. I thought it was going to be a little corny, and some of the videotape stuff left a little to be desired. But the stuff where they've actually appeared so far, and I thought last night was their best appearance. Not last night, I'm sorry. This Raw
Monday.
was their
Yeah,
best appearance. On Monday night was their best appearance so far, and I enjoyed it. I like Dexter's new look. And yeah, I mean, I thought it worked well. I thought those guys coming to the ring, down the ramp, and then Sister Abigail basically attacking from the back. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, I'm here for it, and I like the idea that they're going to take their masks off and I guess essentially wrestle as themselves during matches, which is I guess what we're going to get. So, they're themselves, and then when they put the masks on, they're the characters. I guess is how it's supposed to be interpreted, which I'm fine with. I mean, I'm good with that. Again, my only concern, and we'll have to see ultimately how it plays out, and maybe they are, and it's just history that has me thinking differently. But again, like I've said a few times, none of these, with the exception of Nikki Cross, in my opinion, really has the feel or has been pushed like a superstar to date. I think Joe Gacy has potential. We haven't really seen it. He hasn't really had the opportunity. Hopefully, this is it. Dexter Lumis was always kind of on NXT and doing whatever, and I think they weren't quite sure what to do with him. Maybe this is his point to break out. But individually, other than Nikki Cross, these five people are really, or six people, are really five people are really basically mid-card talent, and yet they're trying to make them a superstar faction and to carry the show. So
Well,
we'll
I
have to
would
see how
like
that
to
ultimately works
state
out.
mid-card talent, sure, but with the caveat of we haven't had a chance with Casey or Loomis to actually be something.
Right. No, and I thought I prefaced it by saying that. I mean, we don't know. We'll see with booking what they end up doing. But, as of now, they haven't booked them that way in the past. We haven't seen that. Now, Gacy obviously is a lot newer to WWE than Dexter Lumis is, but Dexter Lumis, when he was on NXT, wasn't, booked the greatest. And I was never confident that they really knew what to do with them per se. So we'll see what they do now. I mean, I'm hoping for the best because I want it to be good. I like all these guys individually or people individually, and I want them all to be successful, and I want the group to work. So I'm hopeful. I just have my concerns, but hopefully, they're unfounded and they'll be, they'll end up being a very good faction. So and it'll all work out.
Got a comment here from Eric Tate. Do you think Seth will turn heel tonight? I got a question. When did Seth turn babyface? Because it feels like he just kept on being a heel and people just started singing his song.
The stupid
I mean, I don't think he is a face personally. I mean, I think he's kind of
it was the back stuff where he was like feuding with Shinsuke and that.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess
up until like his back hurt, like he was just being a heel and people were singing his song.
Well, no, because he was the face against Finn Balor, and that was before Shinsuke, right?
I mean, yeah, it was after his match with AJ, where AJ was the babyface.
And what did that?
And then he had the feud with Finn, and people were cheering for Finn because it was the whole he deserves this. He hasn't won the title since.
No, they weren't. Them crackheads were saying the stupid dumb behind song. That was pissing me the freak off when Finn was trying to do a freaking segment. Don't. You know what? Let's
Judgment Day. They just didn't like Dominic Mysterio, but they liked Damian Priest. They liked Finn Balor, and they loved Rhea Ripley. They just hated Dom. They were cheering for Judgment Day.
So Judgment, I think we should table this for SummerSlam predictions, but Judgment Day was in that between phase because they were getting cheered sometimes, the other times they weren't. Like every time they went against Kevin Owens and Sammy, they were the heels every time, and that was a lot.
Well, that was after the Seth feud.
Lord have mercy, what the freak happened last year? But no, yeah, but no, I think Seth was definitely not the heel in the Finn feud. Then what happened before that? Then okay. So
Senior Money in the Bank, and it was causing tensions between Finn and Damien because it's like we're the tag team champions, but you got the Money in the Bank, and I want gold myself, and there's
and then
that gold right there. I want it.
So I know it was definitely before Seth was World Heavyweight Champion because we weren't really booing him and AJ. We were just watching the match, and that was a good match. So it's like so before.
We haven't been booing him for a while, but like he was still doing heelish shit.
But he wasn't a heel though. Even though he was doing heelish stuff, he wasn't being perceived as a heel in fans' views. And like I said, AJ itself, no one really cared who won. I wanted AJ to win just because I like AJ more. But so before then, what did he do?
Yeah, I would have preferred AJ being the first champion of the belt. Not gonna lie.
Same here.
But like, I understand Seth is Triple H's boy, so like, it is what it is.
For me, I feel like there's always been some guys that have rode the line and aren't always at particular times definitive faces or heels. And I think that that's become more and more commonplace. I feel like more guys kind of ride that fence, and sometimes they're faces, sometimes they're heels.
Cody Lander.
Sometimes when they're heels, the fans make them faces just because for stupid things like Jericho with his song, or at least it comes off that way. Seth Rollins with his song. So, those kinds of things. So, I mean, I'm not sure that Seth is one or the other. So, I mean, and secondly, will Seth turn heel tonight? What does that even look like? Is that attacking Punk? Is that attacking Drew? I mean, what is the turning heel moment for Seth if he turns heel in this situation? Like, is helping Punk the heel move? Is helping Drew the heel move? I mean,
I suppose helping Drew is the heel move, but like Punk hasn't been a babyface.
No,
like,
that's what I'm
nothing
saying.
Punk's been doing has seemed babyface to me at all.
No, I mean, terrorizing Drew is definitely not babyface, stuff. And Drew hasn't been acting
praying for somebody to get injured. That's not babyface either.
There's really neither of them are baby faces in this match when it really boils down to it. It's basically two heels with a fence riding heel tweener guy as a referee. So, I mean, and a heel face guy as a referee. So, I don't know. I mean, it's a weird dynamic to me. This match should be weird. So, I don't even know who Seth would turn heel on. But so that's my take on it.
So, I think it's not going to be 100% heel turn, but I think they're going to start the heel turn by running it like they're gonna run when I want to say 1997. Don't quote me on that. They're gonna run that back when it was Bret Hart versus Taker, and Shawn Michaels was the ref, and Shawn accidentally hits Taker. That's happening tonight. That's happening. I truly believe Seth's gonna accidentally hit Drew, and that's gonna be the move, or either hit Punk, and that's gonna be the start of it.
We'll see. I'm interested to see what ends up happening. But say, I mean, I don't necessarily need to have Seth involved. At the same time, I can't lie and say that it doesn't make it a little more interesting just from a spectator standpoint. I mean, I'm curious to see what happens.
All right. So, well, I was corrected on the last match not having shenanigans. The shenanigans happened after, but this match had shenanigans. I'm talking about Sheamus versus Bronson Reed. Pete Dunne came out with the shillelagh.
So decent match, right?
Mm-hmm.
You really can't go wrong with Seth. Oh. Sorry, Seth. You can't go wrong with Sheamus and Bronson Reed. I'm not mad at the shenanigans because at least you get a decent 1, 2, 3, like solid win. I do believe we need to progress this story. More so, can we get explanation of why Pete Dunne doesn't like Sheamus. We all are assuming, and rightfully so, that you left me on SmackDown, and yeah, your back was hurt, but probably no phone calls or something like that. But that's why your little butt hurt right now. But I do need an in-ring segment of tell me to my face why you keep screwing me over. But as of right now, I love the trajectory of this story. I'm like, okay, okay. And when we finally get Pete Dunne versus Sheamus, oh my god, that's gonna be so freaking good.
I mean, Sheamus is a mainstay on TV, and Pete Dunne doesn't get a lot of TV time. So if this gets Pete Dunne more on my TV, I'm very happy with it. At the same time, you're right. I don't understand why. I mean, I had even forgotten about leaving him on SmackDown. So, like, I'm trying to figure out why these guys that were in a group together all of a sudden he doesn't like the guy. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all here for Pete Dunne versus Sheamus. It just has to make sense or explain why Pete Dunne's mad at Sheamus. So, and at the same time, I also, I don't I get concerned when guys just seem to be, um, parts of other people's story, right? Like I like Bronson Reed a lot, and he deserves probably his own story as opposed to just be a side note kind of in what's going on here. So, um, I don't know. But at the same time, I mean, I thought Sheamus and Bronson Reed was really good, and I'm here for Pete Dunne versus Sheamus when it happens, and I'm here for the feud. I just want to know, like Anika said, why we're having. I mean, what the issue is. So.
Next.
All right, so Sammy, what was next?
We had Jey Uso versus Carlito.
But so,
Yeah.
And just so everybody's aware, Jey Uso is not going to be on SummerSlam. The man who main evented last year's SummerSlam is not going to be on SummerSlam.
So before this match, we had the Judgment Day backstage, right? And Rhea was talking to everybody, and Rhea was mad that Carlito was there, and it almost feels like as they have the problem to solve, right? The Sami Zayn problem and the whatchamacallit problem.
well, so here's the thing. And not Gunther. It was Sammy and
And the
Sammy
Jey Uso.
and Jay. It was like Rhea comes back and she's trying to be the level-headed person in the group because she's like said, why are we doing this? We don't really. They don't have no titles. They don't. Well, Sammy has a title, but he has other problems. They haven't done anything to us for us to cause this issue with them right now. And then Carlito mad because of the PS5 being taken away is hilarious. I love Carlito in this whole thing. But yeah, it feels like Rhea came back and she was like, what the freak is going on? What are we doing? None of this matters. Can we please get our heads back on tight and focus on business, please? And it's like, but you know what? Carlito, I don't even know why you're here, but you do you. You go handle our J problem, even though it's not a real problem, and go about business. Please leave the clubhouse, please. I feel like her emotions are right now. It's like she keeps asking, why is he here? Why is I know when I left, Don was trying. We really didn't say yes or no to it, but I came back and now he's officially here playing with his little freaking video game.
I know Rhea's great right now. I'm glad she's back. It adds everything to the Judgment Day that I feel like was missing while she was gone.
Organization.
She's my favorite part of the Judgment Day, right? Like I like Finn Balor, and I like Damian Priest, and Dominic's okay. Big Head and Carlito are what they are. Carlito, is a veteran who I enjoyed 15 years ago, and Big Head is a decent wrestler, and he can talk okay.
But
Scrappy do, okay?
But if it wasn't for Judgment Day, what would JD McDonough be doing, right? I mean, he'd probably be sitting in catering. So the reality is that Rhea is definitely
doing side work as a street performer, as a real life bobblehead, probably.
So Rhea's my favorite of the group, and she's by far the biggest superstar, in my opinion, of the group. So yeah, she's back, and it's more fun and more entertaining. I do like the stuff with Carlito. I think it adds a little comedy and levity to the situation. And they need to have a couple warm bodies that can take pins that aren't
Yes.
Finn and Rhea and Dom and Damien. So you got JD and Carlito to do that. And, so, it is what it is. And I like Carlito being back. I
Carlito
always
is
enjoyed
entertaining.
Carlito. He is. He's very entertaining. And he can still go. I mean, he was always a decent wrestler, and he's still, a quality wrestler. So, I don't think he'll lose much in the ring when he's in the ring. He's a good talker, and he's always had personality. So, I like him. And I thought this match was fun. I mean, Jay and whatchamacallit, Jay and Carlito had a solid match.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fun. I mean, I like this stuff for the most part. So,
Yeah.
All right. Following that, backstage you had Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark jump Zelina Vega and beat her up.
On her, cause y'all are mean. Y'all have to be mean. She's already in a freaking cast, you punks. Next.
Like, this is the opposite of prison rules. Prison rules, you go into the yard, you find the biggest dude, and you beat the crap out of him. Here they went to the locker room, they found the smallest girl they could find, and they beat the crap out of her.
Yeah, get it? Like, you have a heel faction essentially, and you want to establish them as the bad guys. But it feels like this is kind of like what they always do, right? It feels like this is it's not original. It feels like there's no real originality to it. Feels like you've seen this story a million times. Insert blank faction name here, right? And so
Yeah.
I don't, it is what it is. I mean, I like these women separately for the most part. Sonya is what she is, but I like them separately and together. I mean, I'm here to see if they do something, but so far there hasn't been anything that I thought was like, oh, this is really exciting or very interesting. So
strong vibes of WCW in the 90s when NWO lawn darted Rey Mysterio headfirst into a truck.
Yeah. So we'll see what ultimately ends up happening and what this faction does. But for me, the jury's still out. I'm waiting to see what they do with it.
True. This is true.
And up next, Xavier Woods lost a bout against Karrion Kross, and I'm really confused because I thought that we'd be getting a return here, and it didn't happen.
Well, Kofi returned in Japan, but he re-injured his arm. So I'm not sure they're delaying anything because of that. But you don't really need Kofi, right? Okay, you don't need Kofi to further this story along. Like, this story, you really could have either piss or get off the pot. Either you're joining Final Testament or you're not. It's like, and if it's not, do one last. No, don't do no more matches. If you're not, then just move on.
Because I've been optimistically on the fence of this since the beginning. I was like, well, if this is coinciding to leading up to the return of Big E's return, then it's all good. It's all gravy. I love it. If it's not, I don't understand shit about what's happening. And as it stands right now, I don't understand shit about what's happening.
Well, so the main story I thought was I was gonna say Jimmy J so bad. What's his name? Karrion Kross was playing mind games with Xavier, saying that Kofi's holding you down. You should be a singles person without Kofi. I thought somehow we're going to lead to Xavier being by himself officially, but it feels like we're just steering the water, and nothing's getting made, nothing's getting better. We're just making the water move in a freaking circle.
Well, as it stands, Kofi's re-injured, so whether he wants to be or not, I guess Xavier Woods is a singles wrestler from now on.
So to that point, it's like whatever plan you had to move the story along, like you just said, it's not going to happen because Kofi's hurt. So let's just stop. In my opinion, let's just stop. Let's move the freak on from both these people.
I mean, my question was, does anybody care? I mean, that was going to be my bigger question, which is a sad commentary because you've had Xavier Woods, who's been a member of one of your biggest factions, maybe in history in WWE. He's been the New Day is one of your greatest tag teams of all time, and now that he's all alone, you put him in this terrible program with a terrible mid-card faction that doesn't do anything. I mean, there's nothing here, and it's terrible for Xavier, and I feel bad for him. I mean, he deserves way more than this. I mean, if he's gonna have a singles run, dude is great. He can talk, he can wrestle. Let him have a valid singles run. This is garbage. I mean, this is terrible.
Now, I care. I care because I'm concerned whether I'm wasting my time spending moments of my life watching this on Monday Night Raw in between commercials.
Yeah, I mean, I cared more. I meant, does anyone actually care whether Xavier joins Final Testament or not? And I guess, like Sammy says, if it comes to Kofi coming back when he's not injured or healthy again, and Big E ultimately coming back, which the more time passes, the less and less I feel confident that's going to happen. Although, to be fair, some people have come back after very extended periods out, so it's not, that doesn't mean anything. But it just feels like the more the time passes, the less likely that is. But if it's leading to that, then that's fine. But if it's not, then yeah, I mean, I don't care. And this has done nothing I don't think this does anything for Final Testament or for Xavier Woods. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. I care more about Xavier and how he comes out of this. No offense to Carrion, but boo.
I agree. I agree. No, I agree.
So,
100%.
So now we get to the Liv Morgan dumpster fire promo. And that's not me calling it bad. That's literally what the promo was. And it was all...
He said he doesn't love me. So
look at what you made me do.
I'm taking all my stuff back and I'm burning it. Like, you couldn't get back to the store, you crackhead, you crazy person.
Watching a Taylor Swift music video.
No, I don't like Taylor Swift, but her stuff is way better than this crap right here. And I'm like, he said he didn't love me.
I thought this was a perfect example of how limited Liv Morgan is. I thought this was terrible. The acting here was just atrocious, and I think it shows you how ultimately limited she is, in her acting ability. So, that's all I gotta say.
Me and Anika was talking about it, of like what can we do with Liv, and I stated that like the only thing I really want to see from her is her beating Charlotte, and I don't know if that's worth having her state champion to watch.
Nope. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Charlotte's been seen in the Performance Center, but we still don't know when she's coming back. And no, Rhea's going to win that title, and Liv's going to go back to being whatever she was before, which was non-exciting and, a fodder for the main event people. I mean, is there to take pins ultimately. So, which is fine. I'm fine with that.
Right.
All right. We had Sami Zayn facing off against Dominic Mysterio.
A very solid match. Don't know if anyone's paying attention, but I don't think Dominic sucks in the ring. He just still needs some more work. Like you can still see him anticipating stuff. But coming from Pandemic to here, I'm like, okay. And that might have something to do with Sami. Sami Zayn. I'm not even gonna hold you. It might, but it was a nice little, a nice little match.
So I don't know why in my head it feels like there's a correlation. Maybe it's because they're both second generation. Actually, Dominic, I guess, is third generation technically, but their fathers were relatively big superstars. I feel like there's a correlation for me between Dominic Mysterio and Hook, and I feel like Dominic has progressed a lot more in the ring than Hook has. When I watch them, I can see, I watch Dominic perform and I think, okay, he's gotten a lot better over the time that I've watched him, where I feel like Hook has gotten better recently more than he had for a while. I feel like there was a big plateau for a while where Hook wasn't seeming to get any better, and now he seems to have gotten a little bit better. But when I watch those two, I feel like Dominic is farther along in his progression, both ability to talk, and I understand they're different people, so they don't have the same personality personality, but ability to talk, ability to potentially carry a storyline at this point, and ability in the ring. I think Dominic's a little bit ahead of Hook in their trajectories, and I see them kind of on the same. So that's what I wanted for Hook ultimately, and I'm seeing it a little bit more from Dominic at the moment, which is great. I mean, I like Dominic, so
Well, I can answer.
I think he's one of the bright spots for the future of WWE. So.
Well, I can answer the reason why that is because Dominic is surrounded by better wrestlers. No offense. Like, honestly, look at it. His first match was against Seth. He did a whole thing with Sammy, and did he go against KO? He definitely went against Sammy. And then you're in the Judgment Day with Finn Balor, Rhea, and honestly, Jamie and Priest is pretty good. Then your daddy is Rey Mysterio, and like no offense. And then you have Hook over here, who yes he was FTW champion, but who has he faced to better himself? Like you said, he's getting better lately, and why is that? Because he was teaming up with Samoa Joe. And Shibata. That's why he's getting better.
As much as I love Sami Zayn, the best moment of this match was freaking Pat McAfee calling Dominic Mysterio the Michael Phelps of insufferability.
Pat's great. I like Pat. I think Pat might be my favorite WWE announcer at the moment.
Right? It's so much energy. I hope because so college football's coming back and he is going to do that. That's on Saturday. Like the last time he left, he was doing Friday Night SmackDown, and that was just everyone understood that was going to be insane for you to do both shows. But you're on Monday Night Raw. At least you'll have a day off. So I'm hoping he'll stay on as commentary. Hopefully.
After that, we got a 6-woman tag match. You had Lyra Valkyria and the Party Girls taking on Sonya, Zoe, and Shayna. Zoe won the match, and afterwards, Damage Control came out, cleared the ring, and stood tall.
I'm not gonna say. Yeah, I missed Io. I'll say that. I didn't see Marigold. That's why she wasn't here. But dang it, I missed Io Sky.
Oh,
it was
she went to Marigold?
Yes! And she had a match! And it was awesome. Please watch that. Yes! That's why she has not been here.
My week has been swamped. I haven't had the chance to check out the Marigold show.
So she's been on it was a whole, and then AJ Styles was in Noah facing somebody, and that was awesome. So yes, go see those two matches. But yes, it's like I miss my Io. It feels like okay. Like y'all were trying to do a little women gang warfare, but now Io's back. It's like, okay, now we're officially doing it. Now we're officially about to do something nice, good.
Yeah, I mean, Damage Control has been around now for a long time. They've had a couple iterations, and I mean, I don't know. They're a little long in the tooth for me. It's been too up and down, but at the same time, I guess if we're getting Damage Control versus Sonya, Shayna, and Zoe, it's okay. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, that's the thing I heard online. Like, are Damage Control the baby face? I
was just gonna say, it feels like two heel factions. Like, what? I mean, who's the? Not that you have to have a face or anything. Like I said, I think those lines are getting blurred more and more. I think wrestling is blurring those lines more and more. Booking is, but if you want to delineate they're both heel factions. So I don't know. It's a little weird.
Like as of right now, Damage Control didn't beat up nobody in the cast. So right now, Damage Control is baby face. Right now. Right.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, all 6 of these women, for the most part, are good wrestlers. And so I've no reason to think that a match with them wouldn't be good. At the same time, I'm not watching. I'm not coming to see this at the moment. Like, this is not bringing me to the TV. If this was the only thing that was going on, let's just put it that way.
I'll watch
it in the middle of a 3-hour show, and it's fine. It's not terrible, but it's not bringing me to watch Raw.
I think this will be a better feud than the Party Girls and Lara versus Team MMA. I think it will be way better than that. No offense to Team Lara and Party Girls. Sonya, I know Zoe got MMA, but I call
Oh,
it
okay.
she's MMA
I was about
enough.
to say, I
Yeah,
didn't know Zoe did MMA.
it's
I have no
close
idea.
enough. It's close enough. 2 out of 3,
I mean,
your team MMA.
if I'm not mistaken, I haven't heard a name for them yet, right? They haven't given themselves a name yet, or they haven't named their faction.
Not yet.
Okay, I didn't think so. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Here's what it is. I mean, you've got 6 women and you're getting TV time, which is good, and that more women on TV is great. And at the same time, unfortunately, it doesn't move the needle a whole lot for me at the moment, but we'll see.
And in our main event, we had Finn Balor taking on Gunther. And of course, Gunther won. He's facing Damian Priest today. So,
Yeah, I mean, there was, this was more, let's go out and try to, take out Gunther in advance of Damian's match, right? I mean, to a certain extent, they wanted Finn to soften Gunther up, which is kind of a joke when you think about it. Not that Finn isn't a great wrestler, but Gunther's twice his size, and the idea that Finn's going to soften him up, whatever it is, what it is. So, I mean,
I was just left thinking that this match would have been better on NXT UK.
Yeah, no, I mean, no doubt about that. But at the same time, I didn't really have a problem with it. I thought it was okay. I mean, it is what it is. Judgment Day is the big story on Raw, and they permeated the whole show, and Finn was in the main event. So, and it's all supposed to be building up to Priest and Gunther. I don't know if any of it for a go home show, for a go home Raw. I'm not sure that any of it really did anything to make me any more excited for SummerSlam, which I'm kind of mad about. I mean, there's some good matches on the card, but nothing that's like really, oh my God, I can't wait to watch. There's some stuff that I think will be interesting, and I'm curious to see what happens. I'm curious about Drew and Punk and Seth to see what happens there. I'm interested to see what happens with Damian and Drew and Gunther, and obviously we'll get to that when we do our SummerSlam preview. But for a go home show, I didn't think there was anything that made me like, oh my God, this did its job, and now I can't wait to see SummerSlam. So I think in that regard, it failed a little for me, the episode. But at the same time, I mean, I thought it was still a solid episode.
That's something I've noticed with the Triple H era is that the post pay-per-view shows are better than the go-home shows.
Well, okay, so 2 things. Number 1, decent match. I think this is the first time we got Finn versus Gunther, which is insane. Like you said, I wish we did have NXT UK. Don't quote me, but I don't think they've ever faced each other before. And like you said, if this was NXT UK, they probably would have amped up the ante just a little bit more. But it was a good match. Chops turned Finn's chest red, so that's all I could ask for. For me, in my mind, even though there's, and this isn't right or wrong, but it is what it is. Even though it's a brand split, I see SmackDown as the go home show officially for any pay per view. Like I don't see because Raw is a week out, and it shouldn't be that way because it is a brand split. But you can see, okay, SmackDown officially the go home show. Raw will mention it. It will have some decent matches, but SmackDown's the go home show. So if you have that mindset, like it's cool, this cool.
I mean, I can't argue with that. I mean, I don't think there's anything else to really say about it other than that. I think you summed it up well. So for me, I'm going to give this episode of Raw like a B minus, maybe a C plus. I think B minus is solid. I think that's where I'd put it. What about you guys? What are you guys giving
B
this
minus.
episode of Raw?
Nothing sucked. And it's like nothing sucked. You didn't get answers wrong. You just didn't like all of these questions were describe the thing, and you described it. You didn't describe it well. So I'm gonna give you a B minus.
I'll give it a C. Like my favorite part of it was the Wyatt Six. Like
yeah. Which
There's
I mean, if
that.
No, I mean the goal is that they would be, a big deal. So I mean, in theory, that did what it did. At the same time, it's a 3-hour show, and that was a 15-minute segment. So that gives you a lot of other time that isn't great. So, well, that's an issue. So let's see. So moving on to NXT from the next night, Tuesday, July 30th. We started off with Idiot 1 and Idiot 2. Hank and Tank outside of the PC saying that they were there to host they're there to host because they are the face of the entire NXT. And then they did a bunch of dumb shit where they tried to hack into a computer with the security bypass, not bypass, bypass. And then they pulled a cord on the firewall. They leaped through green lasers and opened the door together, which blew all the fuses. So it was what it was. I don't know if either of you have a comment on this at all, but this is all pre-show. I think it was supposed to be funny. Did anyone find it funny and entertaining?
I'm gonna say what most of the people who were watching it were thinking. Thank you. Next.
Anika, any comment or no?
Summer. Fun.
All right, so then we were live here at the Capitol Wrestling Center. We have the women's tag team match opening the show. Unholy Union versus Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Unholy Union defending their championships. They did get the win, a little under 10 minutes. I thought it was a solid match. I do think that both Jakara Jackson and Jada Parker are getting better. Jakara did have a sloppy moment kind of late in the match, but I think ultimately it worked out okay. Unholy Union's good, and I think ultimately it's just a matter of time before they make their way to the main roster permanently. And so, and I don't know what happens ultimately to the NXT Women's Tag Team division after that, because it feels a little beyond them. There really isn't anybody that I can really think of that they've been, booking in any way, shape, or form to step up to be the next women's tag team champion. So I'm not totally sure.
Well, I mean, I would assume that we would see Bianca and Jade win it back.
I suppose that's possible.
Like, if you're looking at NXT, though, like, really, who do you have? Like, you have Ariana Grace and Gigi Dolan. You got Wendy Chu and is it Tatum Paxley? Yeah, it's Tatum Paxley.
Yeah.
And like
and Jakara and Jada, I guess, as metaphor, the tag team from Metaphor, the female tag team from Metaphor. So not much. So no, I mean, I guess you're right. I mean, Bianca and Jada are ultimately what's going to end up happening there. But yeah, I thought this was solid though. Did you guys enjoy this match, or what did you think of it? Anything to say?
No. Anika, you go.
Sorry. I'm trying to my tablet, but it's the same plug as the headphones, so I might be doing some stuff. But so I am glad Jakara Jackson is getting more time, because I was hopeful about her and Lash being a tag team. I'm like, when are we finally going to put some work in to make them look good? So I'm glad that they're getting some time and some reps on television. Like you said, decent match. We're talking about NXT and SmackDown with women's tag teams, but we got a whole lot on Raw trying to make it better. I'm not saying you're 100% there, but we do have some tag teams on Raw that could go for the titles as well. We just need everyone to level up, and that's not even on them. That's on creative, and that's on booking. So like we got a chance. So hopefully we'll see more of some Raw women's tag teams come to NXT as well to chunk it up.
Raw's tag division is probably better than their singles division for the women.
Yes. And so, like, if we're going to do a tag, if we're going not to do so many creative stuff on Raw, then yeah, let's come on to NXT and do some creative stuff to get the tag teams more over for the women.
Next, we had Ora Mensa, who was consoling Jada and Jakara after the loss. When Ethan Page's music hits, he comes out and says Metaphor came up short and he hopes the ladies console Ora next week because there won't be a fluke win or any 1, 2, 3s. He gets in the ring and says he's doing Ora a favor to give him a close look at the title. He swings, Ora ducks and rolls him up. Lash counts 3 and Metaphor bails, and Page is not happy. Again, I don't like Ora Mensa. I don't. At this point, they're like shoving him down our throat, and I'm not really happy about it. Along with Metaphor, I'll say it again: the best person in Metaphor is Noam Dar, and he's nowhere to be seen because he's injured. So I don't know. I'm assuming that when at the next PLE, which is right around the corner, I forget the name of it, but I'm assuming we're gonna. What is it?
I think next week, Heat Wave, the last week, Heat Wave. That's when
Oh
they're
no,
going to go
second
get
wave.
together.
I'm sorry. Second week of Great American Bash. I apologize.
Oh, Great American Bash.
It'll be night 2
Summer.
because this was night 1 of Great American Bash. So, I don't, but that's a weekly show. We're not going to get that. We're not going to get Paige and Aura next week, are we? That's not next week, is it?
I
didn't think
thought it
is that.
is
Oh,
it?
maybe it is next week. Either way, whenever that match happens, I don't know. I missed when they actually set the date or if they've set the date yet. Ethan Page is obviously going to destroy him, and then I hope Aura Mensa goes away. If they do anything stupid like putting the belt on Aura Mensa, I don't know what I'm going to do about NXT. Like, I'll watch it because I have to because we do this, but like, I'm going to be very, very upset and disappointed if that's what ends up happening. I can't see that happening, but
yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. I have been getting a kick out of, let me be specific, Ethan Page's reaction when he gets rolled up. Where he's just like, no, it's fair. I wasn't right. And he's like, no, stop doing this. So if it is next week, I think it is, a nice little first feud, blow it off move. But it was fun. It was fun.
I mean, Ethan Page is showing you why he's so good, right? I mean, he's carrying this and he's making it. Whatever little interest there is Ethan Page bringing the interest, and so shows you how good he is. Like I said, he's not long for NXT. He'll be on the main roster sooner than later. But yeah, I mean, I like him on NXT, and I love Ethan Page. So, Sammy, anything you want to say about this or no? I know you don't like
Ethan Page is probably the most entertaining thing on NXT, but I'm not hyped for this match at all. Like, it's a foregone conclusion.
Cedric is backstage. He's giving advice to trainees when Sean Spears says he has no business giving advice. He says he's making a difference in Brooks Jensen's life and would do the same thing for Cedric, but there's no room for him to. Cedric says he's not weak-minded, and Brooks shows up saying he's not weak. Looks like we have a match. Obviously, Cedric getting TV time is fine. I mean, I'm happy for that. Brooks is what it is. I mean, when this first happened and Brooks was starting to get a little bit of singles time, I thought, okay, I'll see where this goes, and I'm here for it. The longer this is played out, I think it's kind of dipped again, or dipped a little bit. So I've lost a little interest. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm assuming that they want to push Brooks, but I'm not sure that it's working out the way they hoped it would.
I said before, I'll say it again. Best part of Brooks Jensen is his name.
Hank interviews Tavian Heights and asks him what his plan is for tonight. He talks about all the medals he's won and says that Tony is a true grappler and a shooter, and he's ready for that. Hank shoots the Tank, who's with the family, and asks about the match. Tony says the Olympics is big time stuff, but he doesn't do it every 4 years. He does it every week, and he's going to show Tavian that. Any comment on this back and forth between Tony D and Tavian Heights?
I legitimately forgot that Tavian Heights existed.
That's so right.
Well, shout out to Tony D, though. Tony D is great. He's definitely main roster bound, but
a very good Covenant. What's the name? The Cup champion.
Yeah, Heritage Cup. Yep.
Yeah.
Tony. I like Tavian. I feel like Tavian and Javon Evans came in roughly at the same time, and Javon Evans has gotten a lot more of the push. But I think Tavian is talented. He seems talented. Definitely haven't forgot about him. I think he's a decent talker. He's been on TV. If you've been watching NXT, he's been on, and I think that it looks like he's got some potential. So, but I definitely hadn't forgotten about it. I do think that him and Javon came in at the same time, and Javon has definitely gotten over more. So there is a little bit of that. Let's see. Then we got a vignette from Pete Dunne talking about his experience and how the locker room is full of guys who can't handle setbacks. He says for the first time he went to someone advice, he got stuck with a terrible nickname, Butch. He says you'd be bitter too. Sheamus went home. Ridge ran. Oh, here we go. Ridge ran away, and Tyler's on the shelf. He recalls getting jumped by 3 geezers with hammers on the bus back home and how he put himself back together and handled business. He says Trick is the face of NST and has all the tools. He beat up Ilya and Mello, but he should be able to trust his instincts and but he came to Pete for answers. Next week, he's going to force Trick to figure it out.
So interesting. So we asked for why he was attacking Sheamus, and they gave it to us on NXT. I mean, that's one way to do it, but I would hopefully they'll show this little segment on Raw for the people, because let's call a spade a spade. Most people aren't watching NXT right now that are watching Raw. So yeah, please have this cut this segment out and put it on Raw so people not next thing get confused, but it's like, look, we did explain why he didn't like Sheamus. Just put it over here.
TNA, please lend out Trent Seven. Pete Dunne needs a friend.
That is so
cool. You're right. We finally we get a little bit of an explanation here why on NXT they're doing it. It makes no sense. None of this feud is taking place on NXT or anything, so there's no reason for this to be on NXT. So that's a little weird. Make it make sense. But at least we do
over there, yeah.
At least we do get an explanation of some sort. And so, I mean, I guess it's as good an explanation as any. I mean, he was pissed that they named him Butch and stuck him with, a couple guys that I don't know, maybe wasn't overly happy to be in. And then Sheamus left and Ridge ran away and Tyler's on the shelf. So I guess it is what it is.
Better explanation than they gave for Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes.
It is.
This is true. This is true. So next we had the Heritage Cup match between Tony D and Tavian Heights. Tony D ultimately gets the win, retaining the Heritage Cup. I thought it was a good match. I thought Tavian looked good. I don't know that he's looked as good as Javon Evans has in his outings. If you're comparing the two, they roughly came in at the same time. But I thought he looked good, and Tony D got the win, as I suppose he should. I didn't really have any complaints about this. I enjoy the Heritage Cup matches. I like their Cup rules, and What do you guys think about this? Did you guys enjoy this match?
It was fine. It was serviceable.
Gabagool.
Gabagool. Let's see. We got a video of JC Jane, Jasmine Nix, and Fallon Henley complaining about Soul and Carmen getting a tag title match. And then we see Lola suggesting the 6-women tag match, and that's how the match was set up. Probably no comment from you guys on much of that, unless anyone wants to say something.
Nah.
I got something to say. Anybody care about those girls?
Which girls? Any of them?
Stacey Jane and Jasmine.
I would say that out of these 6 women, honestly, the only 2 that I care about are Lola Vice and Sol Ruca. And even Soul at this point, because they put her in this shitty program, she's kind of fallen off a little bit for me. Lola's really the one at the top of the pile. JC, Jasmine, Fallon, and Carmen are all, I don't care about any of them, honestly.
Soul is very athletic, and she has a great cutter.
Mm-hmm. She does. That surfboard over sliced bread. Like what is
Yeah.
it? You have to rewind it so many freaking times to be like, what did she do?
Yeah, but no, you're right. I mean, I don't think that no one's tuning into NXT to watch these women, that's for sure. And unfortunately, this is your developmental place, and these are women that, in theory, should be developing for the main roster, as other women go away, age out, whatever the case may be, move on, do different things, and right now NXT doesn't look like they have a lot in the tank as far as women to move up at this point. So last time they took a couple women that I thought were interesting, that haven't had anything to do. I mean, they took Kiera Hogan? No, Kiana James. They
Yes.
drafted Kiana James and haven't done anything with her.
I am still
Lyra's,
flabbergasted about that. I mean, for real, like this is a girl who I never thought was going to be on the main roster, let alone this soon. I was thinking never. And
yeah, I mean, I
like
couldn't even
the one
remember her
segment I
name. So,
remember is her doing some sort of word of the day, and like she completely got the definition of that word wrong in the sentence she used it in, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so like, is her character supposed to be that she's an idiot? Are we doing the ditzy airhead again? Like, are we bringing back that character from way back when? I'm trying to think of it. Maria Canellis. Are we giving her Maria Canellis's character? Like, what? What's the idea here? Because like, I don't think that works in 2024.
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm not sure what they're doing. So yeah, and then Lyra obviously went up to the main roster.
Which they've
So
done good with her.
yeah, but other than Roxanne and Lola Vice, I mean, it's pretty thin after that. So NXT needs to do something to bring some women in that are more exciting. Obviously,
Well,
Julia and Stephanie are coming.
and Delta.
Julia and Delta. Now Delta, I don't really know a lot about, so maybe she'll be there for a minute. But here's the thing: Julia and Stephanie are only going to be there for a quick cup of coffee, right? I mean, that's the reality, and
They're
they're going to
better than most
bolster.
of the women on the main roster.
And they're going to bolster the main roster. That's great, but and they're both fairly young, I think, age wise, so they should
Hmm.
be around for a while. At the same time, looking then at NXT still for the future, it doesn't look. I mean, it still just looks thin as far as there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of women in NXT that at the moment that look like they will be good prospects for the main roster in upcoming years. So hopefully that'll change. Maybe they'll get better. Maybe they'll bring other people in. But right now, it looks a little to me. Let's see. Then we got Cedric and Brooks Jensen in an okay match. I mean, it's Cedric got the win here. Happy to see Cedric get the win. Um, I understand why Brooks loses here. It plays into his story and further spiral down and all that stuff. At the same time, I find it weird to push people through losses. That whole idea that we're going to have this guy lose or woman lose and lose, and it's going to drive her more and more crazy. And ultimately, that's going to get her over with the crowd, or is it good storyline? I don't know. For me, there's a little bit of a disconnect there. I don't like that, but it is what it is. I feel like if you're pushing people, they should be getting wins and looking good, not looking bad. It feels, kind of counterintuitive to me, but again,
Um,
it plays into his story. So,
the only
okay.
time I feel like that worked was with Daniel Bryan, and I'm pretty sure that was unintentional.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they were planning on Daniel Bryan becoming the biggest star in WWE, but having him lose constantly definitely got the fans to back him up.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys have any comments on this match?
I think like if you're gonna do it, another example that could have worked and should have worked was bum ass Corbin. Like that's how you're supposed to do it. Where you're so down the dumps and you go butt crack crazy, and then when you finally get a run, it's like, okay, you're gonna continue with the crazy or you're not. And then another one, like this is more higher
Well, I
stakes.
don't even think he won a match. Like what he did was he was in Las Vegas and he just hit the jackpot, and now he's happy Corbin because he just won a ton of money.
That's what I'm saying. It should have I don't think that should have how it ended. Like that shouldn't have been the ending. I think we should have had bum ass Corbin just a little bit longer, and then then something finally breaks him. But it should have been. I want a different ending for bum ass Corbin than him just going to Las Vegas and getting money.
Bum
That's
ass
just
Corbin
me.
was the best Corbin we ever had.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then like a higher stakes version is Shawn Michaels trying to get to Taker, but he keeps losing. Like he keeps losing the Royal Rumble. He's losing the qualifier, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna screw up your match so I can finally get a match with you. It's like it can work, but you have to do it right. It can't be just, oh, I'm gonna lose and I'm gonna pick myself up. Like no, either you go straight up insane or you become bummy. It can't be just. Those are the top two ways to make it work.
And Shawn already had a history of being a superstar that was over at that time. So whereas Brooks Jensen is just starting out his career, I just find it hard to get behind a guy that loses and loses and loses. So, but it is what it is. Let's see. We had Javon Evans talking about his early memories of wrestling and how he remembers his parents fighting, but they would stop when wrestling came on. His mom loved Cena. His dad was a Booker T guy. He was into Jeff Hardy.
Okay.
Booker T or John Cena? Booker T or John Cena? Which was the?
I mean, depending on the era. B, Cena, boo, and G. Yeah, you're the chosen one, Jeff Hardy. You're the chosen one. That's why you're the one wrestling. Okay.
He says, I was into Jeff Hardy. He recalls climbing a wall in grade school and leaping into his friends, which he got in trouble for. He used to tell his teachers to suck it and would wrestle on his neighbor's trampoline while they were out. He says wrestling brings him joy. Promo to be continued. I'm big on Javon Evans. I think he's fine, and I think he's a solid talker. I don't know that this promo from me did anything to necessarily hype him up or make him any bigger in my head. I think he's talented and got a great future. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just okay for me. I mean, I thought it was fine. I didn't have, whatever.
Teachers telling him jumping off things ain't going to be good for his future, and he's told them bet.
Like, it don't have to be like a big leap into your career, but we have insight. All right. So if for someone he says Jeff Hardy, okay, I like him a little bit more, just a little bit.
Which Jeff Hardy are we talking? We talking Jeff Hardy versus The Undertaker, or are we talking Jeff Hardy versus Sting? Because those are two very different Jeff Hardys.
Why would you bring that? Oh, I'm pretty sure it's not Sting versus Hardy. It was only 2 minutes.
Hey,
Joe
2 minutes
Hendry?
is a lot for some men.
Joe Hendry
next
is talking with the ladies backstage that are super into him. As he makes his way towards the ring, Ashanti picks up on the ladies. We get the Rascals. They're in their treehouse. Wes is surprised that they're there on a Tuesday. He doesn't get how it looks. He doesn't get how it looks the same. And Trey starts to talk about the light reflecting and shit, but gives up and says it's magical. Trey and Zach talk about their celebration with a little something, but Wes says absolutely not. It's PG around here. Don't talk about it. Let's see. Go ahead.
So for the treehouse, I was like, okay, best moment of NXT so far.
Wes and Zach talk about how they never lost the tag team titles, and that burns them a little. Zach says that they won the main event last week, and they talked about winning the titles to defend in 2 different companies. West is going to test Axiom, and then they decide to get high while they're waiting. Hey, it's not PG here. So yeah, I mean, like Sammy said, the Treehouse is the best segment, probably of this show that wasn't wrestling. For sure, that wasn't wrestling. Maybe of the whole show. I like these guys together, and I can't wait until they beat Axiom and Frazier for those titles. And Axiom and Frazier
go
away or do something else. Right.
Like MSK versus Axiom and Nathan Frazier. That's gonna be so freaking good. That's
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it should be solid, and I look forward to them taking the titles. Anything else anyone wants to say about the Rascals before we move on to the Joe Hendry concert?
nope.
Nope. All right.
Yeah.
So it's Joe Hendry live in concert. Joe's in the ring. Fans are singing his theme song. He says, "Say his name," and he appears. Welcome to the first ever Joe Hendry concert in WWE.
ALW.
He says, "This what?"
We need a picture of Joe Henry on the show.
I'll find one.
Whenever
We'll
we
have it
talk
on.
about him, we need to just
And
pop
we
his
have to put up
picture.
his picture so he appears. Yeah. Let's
Okay.
see. He says his concerts are acclaimed around the world, and he knew he had to create something special. They needed a song that everyone loves. Well, almost everyone. Let's see. He proceeds to sing about how Joe makes things better in NXT for everyone. Says there's a wrestler from Scotland repping TNA and how Shawn Michaels is in the kitchen summoning him up. He calls Booker his biggest fan, complete with a photoshopped image of him in a kilt. It says Joe Coffey says he's Scottish, but but is the son of Dutch Mantel. That's not true, is it?
Is it? Hold
I
on.
don't
Wait
think
a
so.
minute. Hold up.
I don't think so. I don't think Joe Coffey is actually Dutch Mantel's son. I gotta Google that real quick before I move on, just because I gotta know.
Joe.
Let's see, Joe. Oh, and tell me if I can type properly.
Dutch
Joe Coffey.
man
Who are his
tells son.
parents? It doesn't say relatives. It just says relatives. Mark Coffey. I don't think that actually his dad. I
I
think
don't
that
think
was
so.
just a joke that.
Because nothing's
Uh,
confirming this. No.
yes, that Joe was making. Let's see. Joe continues, turns the chorus into a clap along, and finishes the song to the fans' happiness. We get a "We Believe" chant, and then here comes Gallus. Joe says there will be no encore. Says Joe Hendry is a flash in the pan, a one-hit wonder, an internet meme, and a one-trick pony. He says if he hears that song one more time, someone's getting decked. Let's see, Joe. Let's see. Ultimately, they attack Joe Hendry and stand over him. They break the guitar over Joe's back, and they stand over Joe and pose. What do you guys think of all of this? From the concert to Gallus showing up to, are you here for Joe Hendry and Gallus? What do you think? What do you got going on?
I googled it. Dutch Mantel has a daughter.
Okay.
And
All right.
yeah, that was just because they look alike. And Joe Coffey is looking. Joe Coffey's appearance is like, sir, what are we doing? What are we doing? No offense, but what are we doing? Joe Hendry is Joe Henry, right? Like honest and like this is a good standard first rivalry for him at NXT, and it really is like, okay, we have him here. When and if he's gonna finally go for the NXT title? Like him versus Gallus is fine. It's a very nice one, but he is probably one of your top three biggest stars on NXT. So, and I know he's still under contract with TNA, but come on, we have him here. Let's use him to his highest ability. So let him challenge for the title sooner than later.
So
Yeah,
the other ones in your top three are Ethan Page and Trick Williams, right?
Yeah.
And Ethan Page versus whatchamacallit would be fun. Would be a lot of fun. So
Joe Henry? Yeah.
Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page would be great. I mean, the promo battle would be awesome. The wrestling would be really good. So I would definitely be here for that. So I thought this was really solid. I like Joe Hendry a lot. I think he shows how versatile he is, and I think it does a lot to push Gallus. I think it gives them a good spotlight. I like them a lot. I think they kind of needed a little bit. So I think they're getting the rub from being with him. But I agree. I think it's after this, he needs to do something more substantial. And him and Ethan Page would be great. So let's see. Then we had Hank and Tank again. They walk up and they're talking to Roxy. Hank suggests breaking the Guinness World Record by putting post-it notes on his face in the quickest time. Tank tries. Roxy snaps at them. Jada walks by and says she might not have her title after tonight. Another dumb segment with Idiot 1 and Idiot 2. I'm not, Hank and Tank are not they're not doing anything to make themselves over with me anymore in this role. So I thought it was pretty dumb. What about you guys? Anything to say here?
Summer. Why?
Segment brought down my rating for this show.
Let's see. Ethan Page and Aura are arguing at the contract signing table, and Ava tells them both to shut up. Ethan says Aura doesn't deserve the title shot, and it's a gift, while Aura says Page attacked Noam and then him. Then talks about pinning Page, which Page can't handle. Page says nothing Aura's done to him matters, and he can't and won't beat him. More of this. Aura tells Page to sign the contract. Does. He says Page may be the champion, but Aura has no respect for anything he does. He says Page doesn't respect him, but when he beats him for the title, it will fit perfectly around the main man's waist. He signs the contract and walks off. So apparently Aura Mensa is now the main man, I guess. That's the gist of that, I suppose. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think of this more Aura Mensa Ethan Page stuff?
They're trying to help it. They're trying to hype it up, and I respect that. But let's just have this match and be done with it. Let's go.
Kendall Gray versus Jada Parker next. Jada gets the win in a match that I don't really have anything to say about it. I mean, there wasn't much to really talk about. It is what it is. I think that was my first time seeing Kendall Gray. I didn't think she was terrible, but it is what it is. Jada Parker obviously is one of the people that they want to push, and so she got to win here. A little under right around 4 minutes. Anything anyone want to say about that match?
Learning. Next.
Learning. Ridge and Thea are backstage. Ridge says what Thea said last week meant a lot to him. He hypes her up and says no towels being thrown in, do what it takes. Chase Yu walks in, are a touch more skeptical of the do whatever it takes, but Thea is hyped. Nathan Frazier walks in on Axiom, talking with Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. Robert Stone walks in with a contract for a tag team title match with the Rascals. Frazier says he'll think about it, but Axiom signs it. Frazier acts for a moment and is not happy with Axiom, but Axiom says he's locked in as soon as he wins his speed match. Then we get JC Jane, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix versus Lola, Carmen, and Saul. We talked a little bit about this before. We decided nobody really cares about these women too much, so I would imagine this match didn't do a whole lot for you guys. What was I going to say? Team We Hate Rookies. Win. That's JC Jane, Fallon, and Jasmine Nix. I guess We Hate Rookies. Okay.
That's their official name. They get a bump. They get a bump. That's their official name. We Hate Rookies. Team We Hate Rookies. Oh my
God. Any thoughts on this match? I mean, I didn't think it was terrible. Honestly, for these women, I thought it came off pretty good because it could have been bad, and I thought it was better than I expected it to be. So in that regard, I didn't really have a problem with it. Again, I don't really care about what's going on here, but the match itself, the in-ring work, I thought was okay.
Yeah. Nothing to add, but yeah.
All right. Tatum Paxley ambushes Kalani Jordan and wants to play, but Kalani doesn't want to. Tatum suggests playing with the title, and Kalani says she doesn't play with that. Tatum says neither does she and leaves. I guess we're going to get Kalani versus Tatum Paxley for that women's North American title at some point. But don't really care for the whole doll thing with Tatum Paxley. What about you guys? You guys like the doll gimmick deal? Is it doing anything for you?
This is that stupid crap. If I'm Kalani Jordan, I'm punching the crap out of you. I ain't playing with you. It really is like, hey, bro, go somewhere about your crazy behind self, and then we go to the match.
That's what wrestling needs more of, though. Somebody doing some crazy, creepy shit, just sucker punch them, walk away.
Ain't got time for this stupid crap.
Before it's over, Kalani turns and sees Wendy Chu and is freaked out. So Wendy Chu's hanging around in the background as well. Joe Hendry is then asked about his concert being wrecked, and he says he was excited about it too. It was a milestone in his career, and Gallus ruined it. He says they're driven by jealousy and are led by coffee. He's driven by proving he belongs here, so they're competing next week. Next week is, we get the NXT Championship match, Ethan Page versus Aura Mensa, so finally the rubber meets the road and we get that match. We'll get Trick versus Pete Dunne next week, Joe Hendry versus Joe Coffey, Kalani Jordan versus Tatum Paxley for the NXT North American Women's Championship, in a tag match, Nathan Frazier versus MSK on week 2 of the Great American Bash. And then that brought us to the main event of night 1 of the week 1, night 1 of the Great American Bash. Our NXT Women's Championship match between Roxanne Perez and Thea Hale. I'm going to be honest with you. Until this match, I thought this show was down. I thought these two killed it. I thought this was by far Thea Hale's best match, in my opinion. And I thought she finally showed that she deserves to be in the ring and the push that they're giving her. I really enjoyed it. Roxanne got the win, a little over 11 minutes. I thought this was really good. I gave this an A in the match itself. So I thought this was really, really good. And if this is the Thea Hale we're going to get from now on, I'm here for it. I still don't necessarily like her personality kind of out of the ring, but the in-ring work on this match was amazing, and I'm here for more of that. So
dead on impression, Anika. Dead on.
What'd you guys think of this main event?
I'll say you go first.
It was good. Unfortunately, it's a situation of like I thought 3 things on the entire show were good. So like I don't know if that like biases me towards this match, making it seem better than it actually was because the rest of the show was so down.
You know what? No, Thea Hale, the lady from Chase U, I loved her ever since she was doing the whole training with what's old boy's name? Charles Dempsey, and like they had the whole little thing of Charles Dempsey and his what was his name? Not Gable Steveson, but his partner.
Drew Gulak.
Yeah. When Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey was training the Chase U, I feel like that's when I started to turn on Thea Hale. Like, oh, okay, in the ring, she's way better. Like, if you go back towards Thea Hale versus Tiffany Stratton in that submission match, that was Thea Hale's match. No offense. Like, I know the ending was supposed to be for Tiffany, but that was Thea Hale's match. So in the ring, Thea has what it takes to be a main event person. So I don't think it's just the show is mid and this thing's better. No, I think that Thea Hale versus Roxanne was a solid, great match. And like you said, hopefully they'll calm her down outside of the ring. But in the ring, I think she definitely has what it takes.
I mean, this was the first time I saw in the ring where I was like, oh my God, she's really good. And I thought, okay, yeah, I can see it now. So as long as they tone down her character a little bit outside of the ring for me, I'm here for it. And I thought this came off really good. I'd be happy to see them run this back again. I don't necessarily need to see Thea Hale at this point as champion, but I'd be here to see this again. And maybe, maybe she could in the near future, like I said, if they tone down her character a little bit and whatever, maybe she is right to be champion at some point in the near future. I don't know. But I really really enjoyed this. I thought it brought it up from. I thought this show for me was like a C minus probably, and I thought this brought it up to like a C plus. So yeah, I mean maybe as low as a B minus, but I'm going to give it a C plus. The rest of the show was pretty down for me, and mostly just because I really don't like Ora Mensa, and right now Ora Mensa and Ethan Page are basically the big story on NXT, and it doesn't do it for me. So.
I got something to say about Tiffany Stratton. Her Boston
Okay.
Crab was so bad. I don't want to call that move a Boston Crab the way she did it. Like, from now on, doing a bad Boston Crab is now a Barbie Crab. Okay? Congrats to Tiffany Stratton. That's a Barbie Crab. That's a Boston Crab.
Oh, gosh.
What grade are you giving NXT this week, Sammy?
Before the final match had started, I was looking at a D plus. I'll give it a C minus due to the last match.
Anika, what about you? Where are you at?
I'll give it a C. Everything that was good. And next week, that card looks so freaking good. So I'm definitely going to watch the whole show.
I definitely hope next week is better.
Yeah.
Looking at the matches, I don't see how it can't be.
All right, so that sums up NXT from this week, and that brings us to Dynamite, where Miss Anika will lead us through this week's Dynamite.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the road to All In, and so we have to do some hyping up. And this week they did what they tried to. All right, so you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so we open up with there we go, Mr. MJF, the champion of the United States title, formerly known as the International title, and so he talks some smack about like not this, and so they're trying to do this whole America versus UK, and it's stupid. It's because
it didn't work when Cody did it. It doesn't work now.
But at least with Cody, number one, we're in America, and you're trying to make the international title the baby face and not the U.S. title. Number two, we're in the middle of the Olympics. So right now, everyone is bleeding their country right now, and you're in the United States. So I give MJF props for saying, oh, not this America, my New York City America. This America's crap. So he was trying to switch it. It's like, no, it's not working. I wish they would have just stayed on the story of while MJF was gone, basically Will Ospreay took your spot and you're pissed. I feel like if they would have just kept it there, I would have been more excited for this match. I'm still glad it's still good, but there you go. Them doing the whole UK versus United States made the story a little muddy, just a little bit, right? But like I said, he talks crap about the UK and the South United States, if you want to call it. Will Ospreay comes out in a rage because he was in the car when MJF was talking about his grandma, but he likes AEW, so he ran that back. He was like, "I'm gonna punch you in your face. I'm gonna punch you in your face. Talking about my dead grandma, you crackhead, you little punk." And he was like, "How dare you disgrace the international title?" And it was held by the likes of Pac, Orange Cassidy, Moxley, Ray Phoenix, even though it's been rolled through the title,
Roddy Strong.
Dad, girl, I forgot Roddy Strong. Okay. Hey. Those are the top five. The top three is Pac, Moxley, and OC. The Roddy and Ray Phoenix, unfortunately, didn't have a good enough bout. They was good. It was solid, but it wasn't good enough to be mentioned in this promo.
And Mox only held for like 2 weeks.
But then he wanted, he got hurt. Then he wanted back. The matches with him and OC was worth mentioning. Moxley, in my opinion, right? Especially that All Out match last year. Oh my God, that was so. Mwah. But he was like, but I'm gonna. So basically, we also I'm going to win the title back. I'm going to make it the international title back. And again, it's you can't do this story right now because the crowd was like, no, USA, and then Will Ospreay's like, yes, USA, but he's saying he's the heel, so boo him, basically. And so
International includes the U.S.
it, but but MJF made the title not the international. That's see this whole thing is stupid. But and hopefully they'll dive this part of the story down and go back to MJF just hating Ospreay taking his spot. So so that led to a but MJF was like, you know what? You're not even gonna make it to All In because everybody dies. And here comes Lance Archer. Lance Archer and Will Ospreay had the match. And can you really go wrong with Lance Archer and Will Ospreay? No. And Will Ospreay eventually wins. And then MJF tries to beat up Will Ospreay, but his friend Kyle Fletcher comes, and basically they're trying to they're trying to do this whole yay America thing, and so but basically Kyle Fletcher sets up a match with MJF next week, and Jeff's like, all right, I'll break your neck like I did Danielson, and then you have in the back Mr. what you call it, Don Callis not really agreeing with Kyle Fletcher helping Will Ospreay, but hey, we were friends before I joined Joe family, so you're just gonna have to deal with it.
I thought they were both in the family.
Huh?
I thought they were both in the family.
No, they're both in the family, but even before the family, they were Aussie Open before they were Don Callis family. So even though Will Ospreay left Don Callis' family, like me and Cal and Will Ospreay, it's like this. I ain't gonna leave him because he's not in the family no more, is what I'm trying to say. So I said a lot. That was the first whole segment and match. What do you guys think?
So for me, I thought MJF was really good. This is what he does best. The U.S. versus England stuff, especially with the show being at Wembley Stadium, is low-hanging fruit, and that's where MJF is often at. So for me, it feels right on par. And obviously with Ospreay being, British, it plays into it perfectly. MJF is much better at this than Cody is. Cody is that really come out in red, white, and blue, super pro-American, good guy, Homelander, whatever you want to call him. Whereas MJF is kind of the antithesis of that. Yes, his belt now looks like the American flag to a certain extent, but really he's not. He's kind of your anti-hero. He's not the person that you would want representing your country on the world stage as like, this is a representation of what our people are like. So, I get why it works. At the same time, I kind of agree with you. I just think it's, the whole I'm better than you deal is fine, or whatever the case may be. But it makes sense since this is in Wembley and I'm here for the match. Ospreay versus Archer. Ospreay doesn't do anything bad at the moment. Every match Ospreay's in is good, whether it's with a guy like Lance Archer or a guy like Bryan Danielson. It doesn't matter, or an MJF. He's killing it all the time. Lance Archer's a solid wrestler, so I mean, it doesn't surprise me that this was a good match. And again, with Will, he doesn't have any bad matches. So no, I thought this was all good. The whole Callis family, I don't think is obviously long to stay together. I think it's only a matter of time before Will either leaves or whatever, but something's going to happen, I think, ultimately between Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. But yeah, I mean, this was a long segment that was kind of all interwoven, and I thought it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. So
I think Will could wrestle a wet mop and still get 3 stars.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that.
But but Lance Archer is way better than the wet mop. I think we can all agree.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But all right, so that was the first segment. Let's what is up next? Up next, we have wait. Where am I? Wait a minute. Commercial break. There it is. All right, there you go. All right, and then next up we have a backstage segment. Big Bill presents Chris Jericho with a congratulations, you're the longest running FTW champion. Here's the cake, and they just eat the cake, and no one, and that was it. So I'm not sure why. If this, I think this is just in Chris Jericho needing to be on television every week because it's like, really, no one got kicked in the face. We just gave him a cake. All right. Any thoughts? No.
Other than why? Yes. No. I mean, this is one of those make sense moments, and I don't know. I'm not sure what Tony's doing, but okay.
Like, I think it's just the whole Jericho's leaning into the whole you have to be on the show every week. I think that's the only thing I can come up with. But all right.
That's the big calling card to being in a team of Jericho, isn't it? You get it on TV every week.
This is true. Yeah, this is true.
Again, like we said before, if it gets Brian Keith and Big Bill over, then fine. But
yeah,
at the same time, I don't need to see Jericho every fucking week on my TV, especially doing dumb shit like just eating cake.
And that's it. Like, really? We're just gonna eat cake? You know what? Fine, whatever, fine. All right. Next, we have Statlander versus Willow in the qualifying match. If Stat wins, she gets a shot at Willow's new CMLL title. I loved this rivalry. The only thing that I would change is in between time, maybe have Stat win a couple of more matches. But I love these two together. And this was a very good match, but the crowd wasn't into it because the crowd is stupid. But I loved it. It ends with Stokely helping Stat by giving her the chain, distracting the ref. Stat hits Willow. 1, 2, 3. We're going to have Stat versus Willow for the CMLL title. I'm going to assume that it's going to be at All Out, not All In. How do you people feel about the match?
For me, I'm not. The jury's still out for me on heel Statlander. I'm not. It's okay at the moment, but I'm curious to see what happens after the Willow stuff. Willow and her have good chemistry, so I think that works fine. I thought the match was fine. But yeah, I mean, I kind of think as of now, I preferred her a little bit more as a face, as a baby face than she was in the beginning when she was here before she got injured. But I do love Stokely, and I think that Stokely is great. So I'm happy to see her with Stokely. I'm just not sure that I'm totally sold on heel Statlander. And I'm glad that Willow didn't get sucked into being heel Willow, although I know some people don't like her character and gimmick, Dolores. But at the same time, I don't have a problem with it. I think she does it well. And at this point, I'm not ready for heel Willow. So, yeah, it is what it is. I'm excited for the match, I guess.
I was never a Statlander fan, so seeing her with Stokely puts her up a couple points in my book.
Yeah.
So I'll say this, right? With any, I think with Mariah May's heel turn, even though that is probably top 3 heel turns, right? It's kind of hard to compare every heel turn with that one, but it is like, okay, if you're going to make someone heel, do it a portion of how you did Mariah May's heel turn. Like, I think the Statlander thing was like, it's okay, but it didn't really hit the mark like it was supposed to, right? Like that's just me. You could have done more with making sure, like, okay, I'm a heel and I'm a dominant heel. Like, I'm going to run ruckshop over the women's division, and it's like you made her kind of lose a couple of too many times in my book to make it actually stick. But I still have hope, though. I still have hope.
No, I agree.
And so,
I agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Next up, our next segment, we have the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, coming to the ring. He said on Twitter he had some thoughts, and we are getting them right now. We are in South Carolina. Bryan Danielson got the nice little cheap pop, and he was like, you know what? I know people say that, they say the name of the town to get a cheap pop, but me and Bree actually took our our engagement pictures here, and we truly love it. And Taz, in perfect time, he said, "Why?" It's like, shut up, you idiot! It's a. But more so, Brian also brings that moment up, right? It was so stupid. He brought it up because it's like we were looking at pictures and we're taking it in the moment. And it's like it's hard to be in the moment sometimes, but I am very happy to people to say that I was present in these times. And this is the last time, we're running down to my career, and I'm going to All In, and I can't promise a lot, but I will promise you I will be present. I will do my best to be present in that match. And then whose house? Swerve's house. And Mr. Swerve comes down and he was like, you know what, Brian, I appreciate you as a wrestler. If you weren't going against me, I'll be rooting for you. But you are going against me. And this match for this title, the World Heavyweight Championship for AEW, is not a consolation prize or a lifetime achievement award. It says this title proves that you're the best in the world. And I'm sorry to reiterate, but are you really sorry, Swerve? Like, I'm better than you right now. You went against Ospreay and lost. I went against Ospreay and won. Your team did Anarchy Arena and lost. My team did Blood and Guts, and I won. And so he's like, I'm not sure. Like I think this is like the same thing with everybody, right? Like this almost like the same thing with Will Ospreay. I don't think you have that dog in you to prove that you're the best in the world and that you deserve this title. So I'll see you at Wembley. And then he whispered in Brian Danielson, ear. He was like, "Hey, you better be ready because at All In, you might not be walking out of there when I'm done with you." And then Brian Danielson, he was like, "You know what? Let's up the ante just one little more notch. If I don't win, this is the end of my career. I'm putting my career on the line." Now, for me, last year, I'm not sure when they backpedaled this, but last year he was like, "This is my last retirement year," right? And then somewhere in the middle of that, they're like, no. As a full-time wrestler, I'm still gonna do it part-time. And it's like, really, why are we backpedaling? Because your behind can't stay away. So let's not put that. This is the last year of me wrestling for. I appreciate that. And now he's putting his whole career on the line, right? Does Brian, and then okay, I'll understand. Swerve was like, so they shake on it, and Swerve was like, "Don't make that promise to me. Make that promise to your kids." So does Brian Danielson putting his whole career, not part time? If I lose, I'm not wrestling at all anymore. Does that up the ante for you in this match?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, Mr. ALW, how about you?
This was the dumbest shit for me. Like, I was laughing the whole time. Like, I was like, what are we doing? Like, okay, first of all, don't get me wrong. I like Brian Danielson.
Yeah.
I think he's perhaps the greatest wrestler of all time. I think there's an argument for that.
Mm-hmm.
Promo-wise, he's always been a little wordy for me. And I think he was excessively wordy here. I think it took him a while to get to the point in this promo. So in regards to that, I thought it picked up finally when Swerve showed up for me. And then the career that you've already said you're retiring from is now on the line. Like, I'm like, I understand. Oh, I'm not going to wrestle full time anymore. So, first of all, I'm not going to wrestle anymore. I'm going to retire, like Anika said. Then I'm going to, somewhere down the road, we've changed the narrative to I'm not going to wrestle full time anymore. No one has any idea what any of that actually means. Is that one match a year? Is that one match every 2 years? Is that 5 matches a year? Either way, it's make a decision and do something about it. Secondly, then to put your career that's already over. You've already retired. You've already said this is my last run, basically, on the line is hollow. It makes no sense. And it doesn't, for me, it does nothing. That stipulation does zero to add to the match. The match is going to be amazing. The title on the line is more than enough. The only thing that I think it does is I think it creates a little more doubt or raises a percentage in my head of Danielson winning because they've now made this whole he's going to wrestle part-time, and we've already seen you can have a part-time champion, right? They've proven they can do that. I don't like it, but they've proven that it works in other companies. So I think all it does is up the potential that Danielson wins, but I still think Swerve wins here, and I think it's just a way to put a bow. I think Danielson ultimately was intending to retire from the beginning. I think somewhere because he was having such good matches, it was like, oh shit, we don't want to lose him for good. Let's start talking about him not stay, or let's talk about him being here part-time. Now he's going to lose and he's going to get ultimately his wish, which is to not have to wrestle anymore. And this is a way to do it. So that's my thought. But it doesn't do anything for me to raise the stakes at all. And I thought it was dumb, honestly. I think it's a bad stipulation to add to the match. He's already retired, so it makes no sense.
See, I'm of the mind that his retirement match is at Wrestle Dream in like what, 2 months from now?
Yeah, I mean, maybe so. I mean, I don't know.
So,
in which case, I
think
mean,
Danielson actually wins here, and I'm like, holy shit! Was not expecting that. I had all my money on Swerve.
So, but here's the thing. I mean, why? What does it do to have Danielson win here for 2 months to lose the belt to whoever it is at Wrestle Dream?
Well, conversely,
I mean, if that's his final match, then he's not gonna win, right? Or he's gonna give up the belt on the next Dynamite. What's he gonna do? Just vacate it on the following Dynamite? I mean, it makes no sense to me to give him the belt for
back
2
to
months.
Swerve at All Out.
Like, for me, I do love that they let Sting win in his final match. Like with retirement matches, right? The whole them losing, I'm not sure about y'all, but I don't like it. Sometimes. Let's like, can they at least win? Like, can some people win sometimes and some people lose sometimes? Everyone losing their retirement match. I am glad they're kind of breaking the mold off that. I am. For people, I think some people, for some fans, they're like, why have y'all never put the belt on? And like, it might have been a conversation with Bree. It might have been him saying, I don't want the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. But for some fans, it's like, he should have held it once. And even if it's only for 2 months, or even if he vacates it, yeah, I think he should have been champ. In my opinion, that should have done it when it was the MJF feud. I think that should have happened. You let this MJF win it right back, right? Like, you didn't have to be the champ for a whole time, just for a good month, and then let MJF win it back. But some fans do. There are some fans who want to see Danielson hold the belt up. I agree with you, ALW, wholeheartedly. Where it's like, I was the whole backpedaling of I'm going to be a part timer messed this up for me. I'm like, cause hold up, when did he say this? Was this an in-ring promo, or was it online in the interview? Cause like, I really was like, oh, now we backpedaling. Now it's only part time, which kind of made the whole last year tour. They're gonna say matter less, yeah, matter just like, they're not a whole lot less, but a little bit less, and so. But this does put stakes on if you think Swerve is going to win or not. I don't know. And maybe that's me just being hopeful of seeing Danielson have the belt one time, but I don't know. I don't know just yet.
Yes, yeah, I think Swerve gets the win here, and it further solidifies that he's, as he calls himself, the best in AEW or the best in the world at the moment. I mean, he's not. Ospreay has that spot, but I mean, then he'll have a win over Ospreay. He'll have a win over Danielson. Has a win over MJF. So I mean,
Understandable. Yeah. And now after this segment,
real quick. Welcome in, Hedgehog. Thanks for the comment. He says AEW is better than WWE. I think that's a hands down no brainer. I think there's no argument there.
It depends on the day. It depends on the day. But after this segment, Renee was trying to interview Brian, and he just walked past her because it's like, yeah, bro, but that heat of moment decision because you didn't have to put your whole career on the line. I know you. And then he went to the dude who probably not forced him, but kind of motivated him more to do this. With Jeff Jarrett, he was like, "That's how you go all in." And he, like Brian was like, "Shut your behind up! I didn't want to do that, and I'm mad." So next week is me and you in a freaking match because this is your fault. I was totally fine just having a match and being present, but no, you had to say I had to go all in. So I'm kicking your behind next week. Be ready. And so next week we'll have MJF for no, sorry. We're having Brian Danielson versus Jeff Jarrett, and that should be fun. We'll see what happens. That should be fun.
I guess. I mean, I'm always disappointed when I have to see Jeff Jarrett on my TV. Here's what I'm trying to reconcile. Clearly, either I don't know the stuff I've heard about Jeff is either not true or whatever, because as I understand it, Owen Hart was one of the best people on the planet. Everybody absolutely adores Owen Hart, says whatever. And him and Jeff Jarrett were best friends in many regards. So
yes.
If Owen Hart is such a great person, you would think that his best friend wouldn't be a total loser douchebag. But at the same time, everything I've heard about Jeff is that he's a loser douchebag. So I have a hard time reconciling those two. Like, it seems weird to me.
In real life or in the ring?
In real life. I mean, that's what I understand in real life. Now, maybe I have a wrong impression of Jeff Jarrett, but I've heard some things over the years. I couldn't quote what they are. I'd have to look them up, and I haven't done that now. I can do that at some point. But over the years where I was like, yeah, this guy's not what I would call a great guy. And yet Owen Hart is considered. And so just for them to be best friends, for me, it seemed like a weird, I don't know, rub there for me. I don't know how to reconcile those two things. But
Owen was also a big jokester. He'd be playing pranks on people in the back, itching powder in guys' underwear, stuff like that.
And Jeff seems like that kind of guy too, so I can see how they can connect on that level. I mean, I can definitely see that. So,
like, honestly, in the wrestling company, it really depends on who you ask. I think the thing about Luke Harper is probably like he's probably the only person. If you have something bad to say about Luke Harper, then you're the idiot. Like no one has something bad to say, and that is very hard to be in the wrestling company, where it's like no one said anything bad, nobody. So yes, about Jeff Jarrett, like some people probably love him, some people probably hate him. I will say this: when he gave up control over TNA sucked. So I don't think I think he's. That's just my opinion. That was the downhill of TNA.
I mean, I would debate that it sucked when he booked himself as champion all the time too. So I think he had a lot of good wrestlers at the time, but anytime you're booking yourself as champion, tells you all you need to know. But it is what it is.
I'll never forget John Huber, Luke Harper talking about how Vince wanted him to do a Southern accent. It's like, bro, I'm from New York. Like, I don't know how Southerners speak.
But like he did such a good job though, because I did not hear his voice until after he left WWE, and it was like, is that how you sound? That's not how you sound. That is so weird, bro. Like, how you? All right. Next up, we have a match. We have the conglomeration, which is Mark Briscoe, OC, and Ishii versus Roderick Strong, Roosh, and the Beast Mortis. And I love that they have come up with this like aha moment. Like, yes, every week, multi-man, let's do it. And of course, it was a very fun match. And surprisingly, Mortis pinned Mark Briscoe. And not sure how I feel about it. It's surprising. I don't know how I feel about Mark Briscoe being pinned though. Like if
Did
you're
you
gonna pin,
watch Death Before Dishonor?
I didn't. But what?
Oh, Mortis won his match, and like, so it seems like they're going heavy into him, pushing him.
Like, and I'm not mad at that. And although I love Ishii, you could have pinned Ishii. You could have like you didn't have to pin you didn't have to pin Mark Briscoe. You could have pinned Ishii because like he's gonna leave and go to New Japan in a couple of months after the summer's over. So it's like you let him
I
pin
think that
Mark Briscoe. Okay.
one of the sub stories here is Ring of Honor though, and it's that I think Mortos is going to have a match with Briscoe for the title. So I think they're trying to push Mortos, and I think that's why they had him have the pin over Briscoe to try to amp that up because I think that's going to be Mark Briscoe's next feud is going to be against Mortos for that title.
Like,
So
and I understand all that, but like
right, I
Ishii's
get
right
it.
there.
No, I know, I get it, and it's weird to use your. It is weird to use your best show or most watched show, your flagship show, your premier show to promote a match that's on your developmental platform. That is a little odd. I mean, it's like it is what it is. But no, this was a solid match. I mean,
Yeah.
all six guys can go. The conglomerate the conglomeration is great
Conglomeration.
minus OC. I'm here for it. So, um, but it is what it is. I can't pick and choose. So I like him. And Mark Briscoe, I'm always here for Mark Briscoe. So I enjoyed this. I thought this was really good. I was disappointed that they took the loss, but
Yeah.
I kind of understand, like I said, why Mortal's got the pin, and why they took the loss. But yeah, I mean,
You need surprises.
fun
This wasn't a bad
nonetheless.
surprise. This wasn't a
No,
bad surprise. Anything, Sammy?
Um, it worked for me. Like,
Yeah. Like I said, the only thing was like let him pin Ishii, but I'm not mad at Mortis getting the win. I'm not.
yeah,
All right.
yep,
All right. Oh, wait, say anything?
no,
Look. All right. So next we have a backstage segment. We have the Acclaim being all hyped up, more so what's his name? Dude with the mustache. What's his name? Uh that I want to say, come on, help me out. Not Anthony Bowen, it's the other one, Max Caster.
Max,
So
Max,
Max
Max.
Caster being all hyped up, calling him the best wrestler. First, okay, I'm not gonna say for some reason. FTR when they came back, they called out the Acclaim saying that they weren't serious wrestlers, and rightfully so. Acclaim took issue to that. So they're trying. I guess we're gonna get Acclaim versus FTR. I'm not mad at that. The only thing I'm mad at is that we just had this blood and guts feud against the Elite. You won a qualifier match to go against the Elite. So why are we having our focus on FTR when you should just go against the Elite? I don't understand. Like, why are we doing this detour right now? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure I understand that either. Maybe it's to, I mean, I thought it was maybe to warm the elite back up, but I can't imagine the elite's going to get the win over FTR. So if they take the loss, it doesn't do anything to help them at all in advance of a title match. I mean, I don't. No, it's weird booking. I'm not totally sure if
they've
they
already
get
beat
the win.
FTR. How about beat a team that they can't beat? How about set them up against Blackpool Combat Club? Like, we've been waiting for it forever. Like, why are we still waiting? Like, they beat
Yeah,
FTR. They should be in line for the tag team titles, and they've not gotten a shot.
yeah. I agree with that. No, I mean the tag team division doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, often with Tony Khan, it's make sense, right? It's one of those situations that
Like,
the tag team division, although they've got a lot of great tag teams and they have a lot of good tag team wrestling on the shows regularly, the division itself doesn't make a whole lot of sense and or why things happen and who's doing what. But I mean, I mean, I guess I'm here for the Acclaimed and FTR. I mean, I'm here for the Acclaimed to be warmed back up, and I guess the match with FTR does that, assuming that they look good, and if they get the win, it definitely does that. So, I mean, if they take the loss, I'm not. It's a little odd to me, but okay.
Right. And when
Yeah.
is this match going to happen? Because you have All In, so I'm going to assume we're not doing Elite versus the Acclaim at All In. So what? So are we doing FTR versus the Acclaim at All In? That's not really a high key match for Wembley, in my opinion. No offense.
No, I agree. I wonder if it well, I wonder if it's at all out a week later or if they push it even more. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I would imagine that, when you have FTR, which is one of the best tag teams on the planet for all intents and purposes, you want to have them on your premier show, and at the same time, they haven't given them anything to be on, at All In and Wembley. So, I mean, they don't really have a real storyline at the moment per se. Definitely nothing that's moving the needle or doing anything worthwhile. So, I mean, which is a little odd. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of assumed they wouldn't be on the show, but who knows?
All right. All right, and so next we have another backstage segment where we have Renee Paquette entering Mariah May as just Mariah May, and I like this. All right, enough Tony Storm cosplay. You are the challenger. This is you. And basically, she said everything that she said in her first promo after beating up Tony Storm, but it was much better perceived when you're not trying to be Tony Storm. She was here. I love the whole her feet was kicked up and her little high heels. She was in black. She was like, I did what I had to do. Don't know why she didn't see it coming, but I basically I wanted to be her, so I'm gonna say this so badly. She's like, I cut her skin and I wore it on myself. She did something like that. It was so weird. It was so creepy and good, right? But basically, I want her title, and I did what I had to do, and here we are. And it was so cool, hand Luke. It was so nice. And then you flip, and then you go to back to the ring or the ramp, and you you have this insane looking Tony Storm with her face 2 times wider than it should be, and these evil eyebrows, Mariah. With the shoe the shoe Mariah used to kick her behind. She was like, you were so beautiful, and I left you. Like it was so insanely crazy. And she's like, they say if you love someone, if you love something, let it kill you. What an all in is going to be the bloody romance of the century. And then she starts hitting her something. She was beating her chest. I was like, I love this feud so much. And they better with as soon as they hit the ring. I don't want a wrestling match. I want balls to the walls of backcrack crazy Tony Storm and Mariah trying to handle it to be champion. That's the story we're telling, and I love it. Let's continue with that story.
Yeah, I thought this from the beginning with Mariah's interview to the ending with Tony at the end. I thought this was perfect. I mean, I didn't have any complaints. Mariah May was great. She shows you how good she can be. She shows you that she can talk, and that she's not just a Tony Storm lookalike or cheap knockoff. She is who she is, and she deserves to be where she is because she's really good. And then Tony Storm just doubled down and made it even better. Just she's just in her bag at the moment. Everything she does just comes off great. Sometimes maybe it shouldn't, like on its face. It's like, I don't know if that's going to work, but she's pulling it off. And this was amazing. I thought all of this worked. This may have been this might have been my favorite segment of the whole episode, but it was definitely one of my favorite segments of the whole show. And I'm looking forward to this match. I'm extremely excited for this match. This did what it's supposed to do. This further built up this match for me. This made it even more exciting. I'm here for it more now. It did its job in that regard.
I thought might need to let the women main event all out instead of Bryan Danielson and Swerve.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to Mariah and Tony Storm
The
in the
jury
main
is
event.
still out. Like they have some weeks, but I'm with you as of right now.
All right. So what was next?
All right. So next up, one moment here.
Yep.
we have a segment, two women segments. We doing well. We doing good. We doing this. Miss CEO with the new brick house Camille. Mercedes and Camille come down to the ring and basically let me reintroduce my ourselves. And this is like this is Camille. She's the brick house and she is part of my new faction called Mercedes. Sorry, Monet. Let me get it right. Monet Corporation. Like, all right, all right, all right. I've heard worse. I've heard worse. So I'm gonna let y'all cook. And then Camille has a squash match. And so I'm all for this team. Now this says faction. We'll see if there's a third person. I'm not opposed to a third person. I'm not sure who that third person could be though. But I'm not opposed to Mercedes having her own faction, and Mercedes as a heel is best as a heel. Point blank. Period. What do you guys?
Agreed. Agree 100%. I guess two people does a faction make, so I guess it is what it is. But it feels like you need a third or fourth person to really be called a faction.
Yeah.
But hey, I've been watching Camille on NWA. Well, I haven't been watching NWA for a while, but I watched Camille on NWA for a long time, thinking, when is she going to get her shot? She did need some work, but she deserves it. She's put in a lot of work. I still think she has a little bit of growth to do in the ring. She looks a little stiff still at times, but for the most part, I think she looks really good. And I think it's a good pairing to give Camille the rub from Mercedes, and it gives Mercedes basically a huge woman behind her. Camille is big and she's definitely a brick house. So I'm here for that. I like the squash match. I think it makes Camille look as she should, which is, big and powerful and basically, in some regards kind of unbeatable. Um, we'll see how long this lasts. We'll see if they bring more members to the faction. I would imagine they have to. I'm here for it, and yeah, I like it. So we'll see. I'm interested to see what happens.
Anything, Sammy?
Mercedes is fantastic, and I would watch 2 hour wrestling show of just her.
This is true. I will say this, Mercedes. We need the height difference. So stop wearing them 4-inch heels because you know you is not that freaking tall. Turn go back to 2 inch so we can see how tall Camille is without freaking heels. So we can have that little dynamic. I need a dynamic in my life. If we're gonna I need a dynamic in my life. And then we have our main event of Hangman versus Darby. And evidently, this is the first time they've ever had a match on TV or in now on a boat, and that is insane. It's like, are you sure? We didn't do this at all. It's 5 years. I know 5 years isn't that long, but it is kind of long. Especially you don't have that many people at AEW, but that was that just whoa, okay, cool. And Hangman is still insane, and he just wants to inflict pain. And so he was just straight up dominating Darby. I'm like, baby boy, I need to see your x-rays because it was just straight up suplexes and follow-away slam into the freaking steel stairs. And it's like, sir, you can't tell me you love this. I mean, you can, but I need you to get some help, some therapy, because I think you shouldn't. And so sometimes Darby got some comebacks, but it was most so Hangman dominating this match. But Hangman just being angry got the best of him. And Darby rolled him up and got the 1, 2, 3. And it was just like, yeah, you crackhead, because you're emotional crackhead because you just would have pinned him. You would have had it. But no, you just had to keep beating him up. Great match. Great first match for these two competing against each other. I do agree with Ollie Davis. Not every match needs a story of why we're competing. But if this is the first time you're competing, I would like a reason, especially when we're going to have Jack Perry versus Darby. It would have been nice for the EVP to be like, you know what? Because we lost, we're going to send you to hurt Darby for Jack Perry, that could be a nice little setup, right? But great, a solid match, and don't really think you can expect any less between Hangman and Darby.
Hangman's been losing a lot.
Well, okay.
Has been.
So we were talking about this during the last NXT segment. It's like, this is how you do I'm losing a lot story, where it makes you, again, if you're going crazy and you're going crazy to the point of you need that last match to finally bring you out of your crazy. This is how you do crazy. I'm losing my mind. And so I'm all good for that. Now, on the flip side of this, again, like, what are we doing with Hangman for All In? Because I don't see Hangman not being on the card, right?
I don't think he's going to be on the card.
So, I don't accept that. Okay.
And also the losing storyline, we've already told that story with Hangman before.
Well, that was because he was drunk and he was depressed. Now you're angry and you're not thinking clearly. It's two different stories. In my opinion, but...
Yeah,
y'all guys think?
I mean, technically, I guess drawing, drawing straws. It's definitely splitting hairs. That's the term I'm trying to think of. Mm-hmm. Splitting hairs. It's definitely two. I guess it's two different things at the same time. I think Sammy's right. I think we've been here, done that with adding Paige. So, this was fine. This match is really good. Darby and Hangman can both really wrestle. I enjoyed it. I still don't have any idea what we're ultimately doing with Hangman Page. Is he done with Swerve? I mean, or what? I mean, if not, then what are we doing ultimately? When are we getting back to that? If he is done with Swerve, then what's really his next step? I mean, I don't know. It's like they don't know what to do with him. They don't really know how to book him. I mean, which isn't a surprise. We often talk about Tony not knowing how to book properly. So I don't know. I thought this was okay. I just think it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Like, this is kind of the low tide of booking, of fantasy booking in your brain. I think we all thought it was gonna be Hangman versus Swerve at All In, right?
No.
And it wasn't.
No.
Really?
Full Gear.
See, no, I don't think. Okay, no, we don't have to wait a whole year because that's how it started. We don't have to do that. And then that's so.
Well, technically, that would be Wrestle Dream. That's when it started, Wrestle Dream.
But it's like still like, no, we don't have to wait till Full Gear. And okay, I'll say for me, I thought, and I still kind of think a little bit. Y'all still have time to convince me. AEW. It should have been Heyman versus Swerve at All In, because the boiling feud was right there, right? And so I think we have to get Swerve versus Danielson squared away before we can go back to Heyman and Swerve. And so, sure, you want to make us wait? That's fine. I think it wasn't on this week, but they have a couple of weeks. So I'm not going to put a whole lot of what are we doing on this situation. But I do think they're trying to give Okada versus Hangman, and that will be fine, But yeah, I think we're putting Hangman on, not because the ice, but we're putting them in the warmer until All In is over.
I feel like he's kind of been in the warmer. I mean, I feel like he's been kind of cooled down a lot. I mean, he's had his moments here and there, but for me, I mean, they've been kind of spotty and, few and far between. I mean, he's definitely hasn't been in a regular, what I would call continuing storyline. Even the stuff with Swerve, it feels disjointed. Like, I mean, that's the longest continuing storyline he's been in, but it feels disjointed because it's been so long, and there have been weeks where nothing's happened, months where nothing's happened, it feels like, between the two of them. And then all of a sudden it's like rekindled again, and then it doesn't happen, and now we're not getting it here. And are we waiting for Full Gear? And why are we waiting for for Full Gear. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I guess because it's one of your bigger pay-per-views, but you've already shown that being in England at Wembley Stadium is a huge pay-per-view. Why would you hold the match? I mean, why would you not want it there? So it's weird to me. The whole thing is weird. I don't know. It feels like they really just don't know what to do with Hangman or can't decide what to do with him. So in that regard, I guess that's not obscure for Tony, but at the same time, it's a disservice to Hangman. At the same time, there's a lot of people that need time on TV, and it is what it is. I mean,
I feel like this is. I'm going to put the fault on me, right? Because as soon as they said All In, and as soon as they said Danielson's last match, I thought we were going to get Danielson versus Ospreay at All In, and Hangman versus Swerve at All In. I thought that was the two matches that should happen at All In. And people are like, no, that wasn't the plan. Like, yeah, it wasn't planned, but you can't tell me I'm the only one who thought that. Like,
right.
I'm like, I'm the only one who thought those should be the top two matches at All In. And if it's so, okay, fine, but yeah. And I'm not sure where the belt is in this scenario, because this was like, this is when you announce. It's a good and bad part of announcing Wembley a year in advance, Wembley 2, and you have Ospreay, and it's like, but in my mind, you're working from, we're not getting these two matches. These are the matches we're setting, and you have to build these two. This one match. We don't know what Hangman's doing. So,
that being said, I thought it was a solid. Yep. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, like that was the end of AEW. Solid. Wasn't anything spark-worthy, but we have a couple of weeks. We have 3 weeks until All In, so it didn't have to be the fire the stoves on 10. This could have been a simmer match, and it was pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, even being that I think it wasn't as good as last week or the week before. I still think it was better ultimately than Raw and NXT for me again. I give it a B minus, probably about a B minus, I think.
That's exactly where I'm at too. B minus. I'll probably go B minus.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. Yeah, definitely B.
So, let's see, this is episode 3, and 3 episodes now. And AEW Dynamite has been our favorite show of the week. We do have a pay-per-view tonight, or a premium live event. It is SummerSlam, the premier show of the summer, I suppose, right? And that is tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We will be here live for a watch-along. And in anticipation of that show, I figured we should go ahead and preview SummerSlam. So let's see. We'll just go right down the list. I don't know when these matches are going to take place or what order, so I'm just going to give them to you guys. But here we go. Damian Priest versus Gunther. What do you guys think happens here? Who you guys got winning?
Gunther.
Sammy's got Gunther. Anything you want to say about it, or are you just making your pick?
Bash in Berlin's in like 3 weeks. Like, yeah, he's going to main event Bash in Berlin. Like,
yeah.
I agree. It's Gunther. I will say this: even though Raw was not a good go-home show, they did a good job building up Damian Priest to face Gunther. Now, if you want to run this back in Berlin, I wouldn't be mad at that too. But Gunther wins tonight.
Bayley versus Nia Jax. Sammy Joe, you look like you're undecided.
I'll go Bayley, but I mean, honestly, like, it really could go either way.
For me personally, I hope it's Nia, because she's my girl, and I'm not a big Bayley fan. But I can understand why Bayley might get the win here. But here's the thing for me. Bayley, even though the last year and a half, or even 2 years with damage control and injury has been rough for her, and she's taken a fair amount of losses, for her career, she is up, right? And Nia Jax has not had the push or success that Bailey has had, and I think she deserves more. She's earned more. I'm ready for Nia to win this belt here and to have a little bit of that push and that notoriety for being as good as she is.
I love both. I love both my girls. So this is so freaking hard. Uh, and then you have Tiffany with the cash in. I guess the question is, should Bailey's reign end right here? She had it since WrestleMania. Even though months are flying by, that is a very long time to have a belt. And then more so, what do they do afterwards? Like, what does Bailey do after this match if she loses, or what does Nia Jax do after if she loses? I think Bailey would probably have a better run if she loses. Like, she can still feud with someone and run it back. So I'm gonna say Nia. I'm gonna say Nia. Oh gosh, I'm gonna say Nia wins. Nia wins.
I don't know about that.
About what? What? About what?
Like, her whole thing right now is just Nia and Tiffany, and without the title, she's not involved in that. So there's really nothing on the roster for her to do. Like, everybody's pretty well busy, spoken for, doing their own thing. Like, she doesn't fit any role if she's not holding the title. Like, it might be the best thing for her to take like a couple months off. Bailey. Like, if she loses the title, she might as well just take a few months off.
Which wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad. I like, in my mind, trying to figure it out. They still haven't ran Bailey versus Bianca back, and I feel like they were kind of leading up to that before it was Bailey versus Io, because like Bianca was still mad about damage control, and so.
Would they do that without the title though? Two baby faces just fighting each other because of
history.
Like, with no like purpose to it.
Right, that seems odd to me.
Especially when Bianca's like focused on the tag team stuff, and she could challenge for the title instead. Like, why do you want Bailey if you can challenge for the women's championship?
Yeah.
I'm still going. You make great points. I'm still gonna go with Nia.
I agree. I'm going with Nia too. All right. So next match, Liv Morgan. What?
So Sammy, you're going with Bailey?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'm writing them down so we can actually have a winner. I'm writing them down. So Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Liv Morgan defending her title. I'm going to say Rhea. I don't think there's any chance that Liv Morgan wins here, especially not now that with that terrible dumpster fire, literal dumpster fire promo. I think it's 100% Rhea gets to win here.
If Rhea loses, I'm punching somebody in the face. I'm so serious. I don't care about the story. I don't care what it leads up to. I don't care about a freaking Dominic turn. I want if Rhea doesn't win, I'm punching somebody in the face.
Sammy?
I wanted to be Rhea. But they very well could go Liv. Like, I'm gonna go with my heart here and say Rhea.
We're all going Rhea Ripley. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if Liv wins, but WWE does some weird shit sometimes, so who knows? I guess we will see this evening. Cody Rhodes defending the undisputed championship versus Solo Sikoa. Who you guys got? Doesn't matter. Nikki, you want to go first?
Solo's not ready yet. It should be Cody.
Yeah. All right. Nika's going Cody. Man, this is tough. I imagine Cody gets the win here, but I really want it to be Solo. And if I kick Cody, I feel like it's putting negative energy out there. So I probably end up losing the predictions because of this, but I'm going Solo. I'm trying to breathe into existence what I want by saying Solo Sikoa. So, Sammy Joe, what do you think?
You know what? I dig that. I'm going to follow suit. Let's go Solo. Let's go Solo.
Let's see. What do you guys think about this match in general? Are you excited for it? You think it's going to be good?
Spike him in the throat 9 times like you did John Cena.
I have no doubt it's going to be a great match.
Do you? Go ahead.
Go. You go first.
I should say, objectively, do you really want to see 9 Samoan spikes? I mean, let me ask you a question. Like, I get that a move has impact when you duplicate it. And like the Three Amigos, I love the Three Amigos. Beyond that, I really get frustrated and bored when a guy just does the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like, when you hit 9 Samoan spikes, I'm bored. I'm tired of it. I mean, I get the impact, I get what it does, but it gets boring for me. Or 15 German suplexes, i.e. Brock Lesnar. I mean, it's like I don't need to. It's too much. I mean, you guys like it when people do the same move over and over and over and over again?
Now, Samoan spikes, it depends on how you sell it. Like, not Samoan spikes, I need you coughing blood up. No offense. Like you're just holding your neck. I'm like, no, he spiked you in the freaking neck 9 times. You're dead, or you're hyperventilating.
Listen, if the Young Bucks throw 15 super kicks, I'm like, cool.
Now, super kicks are different because they're just like, bam, bam, bam. They got their own little soundtrack to it.
On the left side, bah. On the right side, bah. Outside the ring, bah. Back inside the ring, bah. Yeah. Top rope, bah.
Super kick party. I'm sorry.
That's why my favorite wrestlers or matches are always the one where there's the most variety of offense. The ones where it's just the same moves over and over again, i.e. why I don't like Roman Reigns most of the time. They just get stale for me. Or Cody Rhodes. They just get stale for me. And Cody has a little bit more whatever, but yeah, I mean, even Cody has. I mean, now, I get it. A lot of these guys probably can do more, and they end up tailoring down their offense to the 5, 6, 7, 8 moves that work the best, or that WWE or AEW wants them to do. There's some guys I think are limited, and the more I watch John Cena, I give him credit for trying. I think he was ultimately limited in his physical ability and what he could actually do. I don't think he's the most athletic guy in the world. Whereas some guys, I think they have the ability to do a lot more than they do. And I think it's either WWE saying don't do that, or AEW saying don't do that, or them just deciding I do these moves the best, the fans love these the most, so that's why I do them. But for me personally, the matches that hit the best for me are the ones where you have the most variety, the most varied offense. Now, that being said, Vikingo for me is an example of I love watching the innovative offense and not knowing what he's going to do next. At the same time, a lot of what he does doesn't hit right because he's trying it for the first time and it's all experimental. So you see a fair amount of like missteps, or it doesn't look great or whatever. So that leaves a little to be desired. I don't want that per se, but at the same time, I do like when you got a lot of variety of offense. So this match is not going to be that. But I assume Cody gets the win, but I'm going Solo. So, all right.
I'm reminded something of Bruce Lee, where he said, "I don't fear a man who knows 1,000 kicks. I fear a man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Yes,
And
I agree with that.
like that can go into play with these dudes who only know 5 moves. Like they only know 5 moves, but they can do those 5 moves perfectly every time.
There can be something to be said for that. I mean, I do tend to believe that that analogy holds true. So, I mean, in that regard, I guess it's hard to argue with that. But yeah, I don't know. I just find it. I in a fight that gets you the win, I'm not sure it's the most exciting, right? And obviously
Mm-hmm.
the goal is to win. At the same time, this, especially WWE, is sports entertainment. I mean, they'll tell you, right? It's not necessarily wrestling, although maybe with Vince gone, maybe that opinion is a little bit different now. I'm not sure. They haven't really come out with a new mission statement per se. But for the longest time it was, it's about sports entertainment. So um if that's the case, then I just think that sometimes is not the most entertaining. But that's my opinion. And obviously, as everybody knows that watches Workhorse Wrestling Network, I have a lot of opinions that a lot of people don't agree with. So it is what it is. Our next match, Logan Paul versus LA Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the U.S., right? It's a U.S. title, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Um, I think it's about time that fucking LA Knight gets a run with the title. I'm picking LA Knight. I'm tired of seeing Logan with that belt. I am so tired of part-time champions. And he's now the antithesis of that for me because he's, actually not even a wrestler and he's got the belt. So it's like, it's okay. It is what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's decent. He's probably the best celebrity wrestler we've had. And at the same time, he's still just a celebrity who's not even a real wrestler. So I'm ready for that belt to be off of him. And I'm ready for LA Knight to actually have a run with the belt and hopefully do something. Maybe bring that belt, I don't know, up a little bit. Or at
Listen,
least make it active, defended, more often and active.
I thought with all my heart that he was going to be Mr. Money in the Bank, but that did not happen. He does not hold the briefcase. That briefcase has already been used. It's gone. We got to wait until next year. Listen, we got to do something with LA Knight. He could have done wonders holding that briefcase, but we didn't go with that. So give him the U.S. title. It's something. It's not as cool as the Money in the Bank contract. He can't do as much with it as he could have done with the Money in the Bank contract. I'm just imagining all the storylines you could have done, but you blew your chance.
Yeah. So we should have had it's so many things that we did not have sooner. And Logan Paul versus LA Knight was one of them. And LA Knight not being champion, United States champion or hold the brief, that's another one. So let's right some wrongs. So again, LA Knight don't win. I'm punching somebody in the face.
All right. And although it won't be the main event, the last match that I have on the card for the night is Sami Zayn defending his Intercontinental Championship against Braun Breaker for the second time against Braun Breaker. They're
this
running this back.
feels
I was going to say they're running this back because they want to put this belt on Braun. I think that's ultimately the goal here, and I think this is where Braun gets the win, unfortunately. I hope that
It
after
makes
Braun gets the win, that Sami Zayn still gets booked in something good and big. But I don't know where he goes after this, and we'll see what Braun can do with the IC title.
everybody was
I
thinking Braun was
I
going to win at the last pay per view, and I was like, ain't no way they're going to take the title off of Sami Zayn in Canada.
yeah.
Like, he ain't going to lose it in Saudi. He ain't going to lose it in Canada. Here we are, Ohio. You can do it here. Ohio is fine.
The perfect spot. Perfect.
Ohio's fine.
I agree with all of y'all. It feels like AEW when it was the Acclaim versus Swerve in Our Glory the first time in Chicago, and they're like, "Why didn't the Acclaim win?" It's like, "All right, next review they'll win," and so it feels like that. All right, we'll let Braun Breaker win this time, even though I love Sammy. I'm hoping that we're not making stories in our head, and that we do get a proper Sammy and Jey Uso tag team run, because the last week and that was the main event. It was like, yeah, I want more of this. So if y'all want to do this again, please do. And then that leads up to Bloodline in War Games. So yeah, you can take the belt off Sammy now if you want to. I'm going with Braun Breaker.
All right. So that was the last match that I had listed for the SummerSlam extravaganza tonight. So that's the last match we're going to talk about. Just to reiterate, AEW was our show of the week.
Only because Raw was supposed to be a go home show. It was very close this week, but because Raw was not a good go home show, we have to give it to AEW.
Yeah, we agree that Dynamite was down this week for the past couple weeks. So, and let's see, we'll do a little housekeeping and then we'll get out of here. Let's see, is the horsey here? I don't have the horsey QR code to put up. I'll have to load that for next week. I keep forgetting. So, needless to say, you can check us out you can go to Linktree and check out Workhorse Wrestling Network. It'll show you all of our social medias, but we're everywhere where there's social media. We're on Instagram, we're on X, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, everywhere. Every Sunday, there is Enter the Square Circle. Myself and Sammy Joe play in WWE 2K. Usually that's on, hopefully, at 8 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern. Sometimes the time can vary, but it should always be on Sunday for sure. Mondays, Seeing Stars with Dolores and Jay News, usually 7 a.m. Well, almost always 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, where Dolores and Jay News talk about all that's going on in the world of independent wrestling and all the stars that are up and coming and everyone for you to pay attention to. Then on Tuesday nights, we're live for the Cookout, where we talk about everything that's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling, as Sammy Joe likes to put it. That's live every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Then we're live on Friday nights, where these two, Sammy Joe and Anika, watch Friday Night SmackDown and AEW Rampage and give you real-time reactions and opinions to what they are watching. Then Saturday morning, you're here with us now for it, the Winner's Circle, live every Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, where we review Monday Night Raw, NXT, Dynamite, and pick a winner for the week. And if there's pay-per-views, then we will review preview pay-per-views as we did for SummerSlam today. So, and then usually there's a Saturday night is all right Collision watch long. We're taking a little hiatus on that until September 1st, when I believe CM should be back, and we will be back to full capacity for the Workhorse, and we'll be able to cover that again. So make sure and join us for that when it does come back. In the meantime, if you're not subscribed, if you're new, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, hit the bell to be notified. That's the best way to make sure that you get a notification every time we put something out. And we just hit 180 subscribers, so I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. We really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll hit 200 soon here, and from there to 200,000 ultimately, or 2 million. Let's see how high we can get.
Yeah.
But thank you for supporting Workhorse Wrestling Network. We really appreciate it. And unless anybody else has anything to say, we'll get up out of here.
I am not a crook.
Bye.
Oh no.